The funny thing is, on the corner of Metro and Daniel, so you figure, but because of where it's located and the two buildings, it doesn't matter what road you're driving on, you can't see it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's perfect.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
For the first time in 2022, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this glorious Monday after a football feast and a little more? Thanks for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. How are you, Mark?
Happy New Year, David.
And to you as well, my friend.
I'm good. Solid weekend, great football. Some things change. Most stay the same.
But it was a lot of fun.
Two semifinal games you could have skipped because they were over early.
Yep.
In fact, I did take a nap at halftime, Alabama-Cincinnati, and woke up mid-third quarter and don't feel like I missed anything.
Not really. No, just some dominance. But listen, those of us old enough to remember the Super Bowl in the 70s through most of the 80s. I mean, the Super Bowl had a generation worth of bad games.
I remember, I think it's why, it was a Steelers-Rams game. That was a terrific football game.
It was. Rams took the lead into the fourth quarter even.
That's one of the only Super Bowls I remember from that era being a great game. I remember more of the Cowboys beating the Broncos into the dirt.
Right.
And games like that.
Right. The Niners beating the Broncos into the dirt. The Redskins beating the Broncos into the dirt.
There's the theme there, David. There's definitely a theme.
The Giants in the second half beating the Broncos into the dirt. Yes. But it was far more likely to get a bad game than even a decent game. And that is really what we are getting in the college football playoffs.
Boy, are we ever. And to think, Cincinnati played Alabama a lot tougher than Michigan played Georgia. Don't know where those Block M hats are today, folks. Congratulations on a spectacular season. You did what many have done. Most of them do it playing against Alabama in the semifinal. You did it against Georgia playing in the semifinal. That's called getting goat rodeoed. Welcome to the club. There's a lot of other schools in that club with you.
Right. I mean,
don't feel badly.
No shame. No shame. It happens. And much like with the Super Bowl in the 70s and 80s, one of the things that people were theorizing, what can we do to make this a better game? And a lot of us in the media at the time, Miller and Moulton were not really in the media then, but, just go with it. We were saying, they play every week all year, and then before the biggest game of the year, they take a week off. Do you think maybe they should play these games? And sure enough, the schedule a couple of times. There was the strike season of 82, and the Dolphins and the Redskins end up playing a Super Bowl, which was a close game. Dolphins took the lead into the fourth quarter, damn near mid-fourth quarter, when Riggins rips off that fourth down run for a touchdown, gives Washington the lead. We got a good game. And everybody went, look at that. They played the week after the championship games. Then, a few years go by. The Giants-Bills Super Bowl was played 1 week after the conference championship games. Maybe we're on to something here. It turned out, we still, for the most part, do 2 weeks in between conference championships and the Super Bowl, but that was one of the things that we were all hanging our hat on, Mark. for 20 plus years. It's like, maybe we should just play this game. And now I think people are trying to come up with, well, what are we going to do for the college football playoff? We've got to change it.
You know, I don't watch a lot of Sports Center, but I happen to be up very early, like I always am, yesterday morning. And I happened to see the second half of SVP's Sports Center. And I mean, I haven't watched that but 5 times in the last 5 years. But he does what is the one big thing or whatever.
Yep.
And he attacked all those who were attacking bowl games. But he did talk about this, and he alluded to what's going to happen. He said, maybe we add more teams just for the reason you're talking about it. Alabama's got to prepare for 3 teams instead of 2. And he said, at the end of the day, we're probably going to end up with the same teams in the finals that we did before. But I guess, more could mean more upsets.
Well, I think it's twofold, Mark. I think it's twofold. That first off, listen, if the end game is going to quote unquote be the same, well, Mark, isn't this essentially the equivalent of an NCAA tournament in which the Final Four disappoints, but the tournament leading up to it was terrific? We don't have with football the tournament leading up to it.
You're absolutely right. And what's wild is, and whether you like the bowl games or don't like the bowl games, I don't much care, because I didn't watch a ton of bowl games. But every once in a while, a game comes on, and I don't think it's great football, but Purdue and Tennessee was really entertaining. The Rose Bowl was incredibly entertaining. We had all these New Year's Six games. Michigan State, Pittsburgh was incredibly entertaining. I don't know how good a football it was, but it was entertaining. And then we get the semifinal games, and they're back-to-back duds.
Right. If
we'd have gotten any of those games in an Elite 8 type of round,
yeah, right. You're building.
You give me Utah, Ohio State. You give me Michigan State, Pitt. I mean, those were both New Year's Six games that were played right to the end. Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, another just terrific football game.
Yeah.
You put those 3 games, and we're coming back today getting ready for semifinal games. I think we have a different mentality towards the semis.
And even if the semis and the finals don't play out differently, right, the tournament, all right, feels as if, hey, this is special. We've got something. And right now, this is largely a disappointment to most of the country. All right. And it is a continual happening. Here's the other part. People are like, well, it's the same 3 teams. It's the same 4 teams. It's the same 5 teams. Yes. But I think there's a way to change that. Enlarge the tournament. Because what will then end up happening is kids will not keep going to the same 3 places. They'll start going to 6 places. They'll start going to 8 places. And it will broaden out. And it may take most of this decade, Mark, for all of a sudden there to be a little more depth to college football. But I think that, what I believe we're going to see happen over the course of the next 5 to 8 years are UCF, Cincinnati, Houston. What have they done? They've basically worked their way up.
No, that you're absolutely right. And David, to your point, our conversation with Angelique Shangelis last week about Luke Fickell, she's a UC grad. She doesn't see him wanting to leave except for maybe one day for Ohio State. And most people think that that's an accurate description of where he's going. Why? Well, it's really simple. He's going to the Big 12. If you don't think that Luke Fickell in Cincinnati are playing in Big 12 championship games on a semi-annual basis, I think you're crazy. I'm not saying they're going to be there every year, David, but if I said Cincinnati and UCF, once they get into the Big 12, combined, the 2 of them will play 6 times in the next 10 years. One of them will be in a conference championship game. Would you take the over or the under? Because I'd take the over. You put it at 6.5 and I got both of them, I'll take the over right now.
I'd like to see how they align the divisions if they go to it, but yes, I'm inclined to go over.
But I'm doing that saying they're on the same side. I think the 2 of them can get there 60% of the time. I really do.
And I may be wrong. This may be a fallacy, But if you go back to the 70s and 80s, in the 70s, the NCAA tournament was 32 teams. In the mid 80s, it became, 48 teams. Then 85, I think it was, because I think the year that Villanova won the title in 85, it was the first 64 team field. And I don't think it's a coincidence that by doubling the size of the tournament over a span of about a dozen years, they created more good programs because kids realized I don't have to go to the same 12 schools to play good basketball to make the tournament. And I think that to me, Mark, is the biggest reason why I think they have to expand the tournament. They have to create more than the same 3 or 4 programs that we think year in, year out can win the thing.
I do think one of the discussions, and I know it's probably the most boring part, because we've talked for a long time that there's going to be games on campuses. Well, in the NCAA tournament, there's not. And they travel 3 weekends in a row if you keep moving on. These bowl games have such a stranglehold on the sport. I will be fascinated to see if we end up with home games or if we end up with the bowl series being part of this, because I think ultimately that's what the power brokers of college football want, David.
Agreed. And there's the granddaddy of them all that stands in the way. And it will be fascinating to see in the next week or so whether or not the rest of the sport finally calls the Rose Bowl's bluff, which hasn't been a bluff because they've given in every time.
David, I knew it wasn't a bluff when I turned on the television on New Year's Day and the Rose Parade was on NBC and ABC. I don't know what it is about a damn parade on television, David. But there are a lot of women apparently watching parades, and they're watching them on 2 networks.
Mark, I believe the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade's on multiple networks also.
It is. But when I say a parade to most people, they say the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. To me, it is the granddaddy of all parades. It's not the Rose Parade. So that's all. I found it a little strange that it was on 2 networks, but then I went, well, no wonder this thing's so popular. And do they have to call their bluff, or do they just simply say the Rose Bowl is always a semifinal? That way you assure the games on New Year's Day.
I think they should just create a system and say, this is it. And look at the Rose Bowl and go, you have a choice. You can be a part of our system, or you could play your game at 5:00 on January 1st every year. It's fine by us. Okay, not going to be part of the playoff, but go play your game. Knock yourself out.
And I know, and a lot of me is with you, but I do know that Georgia people, and I've not really talked to a lot of Oklahoma people, but Georgia people revere that Rose Bowl. That is such a big moment in Georgia football history. They never got to play in that game. I think they played one, like in the 20s or 30s or something like that.
So we got to play Oklahoma in the semis.
It was a big deal.
Bowl, right?
It was a big deal for them. And it's a big deal for a lot of schools that get to play games in Pasadena. I know what you're saying. And David, trust me when I tell you this. I'd love to be in the room telling them you want to play your game at 5:00 on New Year's Day. Go ahead. In fact, I'd rather be in the room with you saying it so I could snicker behind your right shoulder while you said it. But if they just gave them, hey, you're a semifinal every year. And quite frankly, if you said the rose and the orange or the rose and the sugar, those are the semis. Now, whoever loses out between the sugar and orange would be ticked. The Fiesta, go take your Tostitos.
Miller and Moulton. This seems so long ago, right? Wait, the semifinals, the bowl games. We had a full NFL slate yesterday and then some.
And Tua just fumbled again.
And just like that, you could go from being in the playoffs to being mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Miller and Moulton. Got a good show lined up for you. Roy Cummings will join us at the top of the 8:00 hour. Apparently, it was a very eventful game for the Buccaneers yesterday with the Jets. And Adam Rittenberg in 3 hours will resume this college football discussion. going forward. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you had a great new year. And thanks for starting 2022 with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Gotcha.
He did it for a while in Connecticut, but eventually it was like July one year that he moved to D.C.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a couple times. I just thought, like, you know, how they go do their little treks here and there. I thought maybe it was one of those. But I knew he was a Maryland guy or whatever. Hey, Adam, that's fine. I mean, you're a Gator fan. This is my only question back to you, chanting SEC, which I think is hysterical and laughable. Do you feel better about the Gators today or worse? Because if you're chanting SEC, when Alabama comes over to your side, when Oklahoma and Texas are in there, are you fourth in your side behind Kentucky or fifth behind South Carolina? That was a shot. That was an early shot.
It was. Oof. I was straight right. I was get your attention. Also,
that was Hearns and Hagler round one. I'm not messing around this morning. I don't want to dance around.
I'm good. I'm back.
He's masked up over there.
He is. He's going to rob a bank as soon as the show's done.
Yeah, correct. Behind the
There's
corner.
a couple of them about 3/4 of a mile south.
Behind the corner of Daniels, and
No,
that's where we're meeting up. That's
no.
where we're getting.
You just leave that area alone.
That's right.
I got a good little thing going.
David's got his own little testing pattern over there, apparently.
I got a good little
Is it
thing
rapid
going.
or is it
yeah.
like instant?
Yeah.
Or do you have to throw the $1.50 down?
No, it's free.
And PCR available. Yeah. Wow, that's there you go.
So we played in that. I played New Year's Eve. We start on 18. I proceed to make a triple on 18. Fudge it around the front, shoot 42, I think. 42, 43, something like that. And then played the last 8 holes even par.
Huh.
Love that 39 with a 7 on the card.
Yes. Yep. Let's go. Well, Swamp Buggy, he's 70. I mean,
I guess in terms of if you're 70, your closest decade that you're next to is 80. But
he's literally 70.
No, I'm talking about Adam's a Gator fan too, I do believe. That's all. And I mean, what did David, I caught the very end of it. Was it about the Hall of Fame or about the All-Pro team? What did Troy say Joe and Troy there. I caught the very end of it.
They were on camera, and it's funny.
This
Troy-
was off. Like they were not like. There was a long segment where they showed John, and then they talked, and then when I turned it on, Rinaldi was talking. Then it went back to the booth. Joe said, "Great job, Tom, with that, and you, and blah 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 blah, all of that." And then they're talking about naming, and I just, someone was talking.
Troy said there are a few people in NFL circles that are talking about changing the Pro Bowl and being all pro to all Madden.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. And Troy basically said, it's got my vote.
Right. And I didn't know if he said that one because, the other one was a Hall of Fame. And like I said, I can't tell my daughter to shut up over that. It's not that important. But I was trying to listen. I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know which one.
I like that. The all Madden team.
Moose had his all Madden sweatshirt on when they talked about it.
10 seconds.
Moose made a really nice, comment about.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Belated Happy New Year. Hope you had a good holiday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Well, we were all excited about the Week 17 slate of games because there were a half dozen that were very sexy just because of the playoff implications. And most of them delivered. But let's just start with in-state for a second. At what point during the day were you like, okay, Tampa Bay, this is cute, all right? Just, when do you guys, throw cold water in your face and basically kick it into another gear, and next thing you know, you look up and Tampa's up 14 or 17.
All right, full disclosure, David. I've gone from 4 TVs to 3 TVs on football Sundays. I just don't feel like hauling the one down from upstairs anymore.
Okay.
Because there hasn't been much of a need for it. And I'm like, damn, there's 4 good games on at one. By the way, I'm not including the Bucks Jets in that list.
Of course not. It's the Bucks and the Jets.
So you got the Kansas City Cincinnati game. You've got the Indianapolis Vegas game.
Right.
You've got the Rams game in Ravens, which is a solid game, and then you got Dolphins and Titans that I think is going to be a good game, or at least there are more expectations and more things that can happen with that game. So that's kind of where my brain is at one.
Right.
I get to halftime, and I kept with that. I said, what's going on?
Right.
Now I've got to dedicate a television to the Jets.
Right.
And then the Jets come down and rip off and make it a 2-score game?
Correct.
What in the absolute hell is going on?
And then there's the human soap opera that is Antonio Brown that plays itself out during the game, in which, now remember, we're in the booth in Dallas. And so all of a sudden I turn around and there's a half-naked man walking into the locker room, and I go, isn't that AB? Did he get ejected?
There you go. But no, he did not get, and it's tough to get ejected when the offense isn't on the field.
Right.
It's not impossible.
Right. So, and then we're like, no, I don't think he got ejected. I'm looking through Twitter. Did he get ejected? Going on the internet. Can't find out he's been ejected. And we're like, did he just quit? Yes.
I thought the best line of the whole thing, not the best, the commentary that caught me as the oddest was when they went to the sideline reporter in the game to find out really what happened and try to get a lowdown. And the one comment that was made was security thought perhaps it was someone running on the field. They, in a moment, now think about it. The security is supposed to be facing the crowd back to the field.
Right.
One of them leans over his shoulder, looks over his shoulder, and sees a half-naked man in the end zone telling the crowd. And so literally one's ready to jump him when someone says, no, that's Antonio Brown from the Bucks.
I mean, bat blank crazy. And as a lot of people said, I've never seen anything like it. And one of those people was Bruce Arians, who's not a young man and has seen quite a few things in his day. But now I think we all know the story that at some point, Bruce Arians had said to AB, head into the game. And AB said no. And so Bruce suggested it a second time. And AB said no. At which point Bruce said, well, then basically, you're done. Get out of here. And AB took that to mean, well, who knows, quite frankly, what he took it to mean and how he took it. Because as Tom Brady and others have said after the game, let's try to have some compassion here. There's obviously a gentleman who's got some issues.
Well, he's had issues for a long time.
Yes, he has. But so you had that saga, which quite frankly was a big part of the game because we all know Godwin's out with an injury. Evans has just come back from an injury. You could tell he's not 100%. They're tilting their coverages towards him. I mean, AB would be pretty helpful right now. They're losing the whole day. And so Brady basically says, give me a couple old tight ends and a couple young wide receivers, and don't worry.
We'll get this to the barn.
We'll do this. I can do this. Defense, you keep us close. I'll get it done.
And you may have a problem with Saleh going for it on 4th and 2. I didn't like the play call, but come on. Go 95 yards and beat me. And Tom said, okay.
Well, it turns out the Jets got the play call completely wrong. I mean, Saleh afterwards is like, we totally screwed that up. That was not the play. The quarterback was not supposed to keep the ball. He was supposed to give it to the wide receiver on the reverse. And if you look closely, he's got the whole side open. He said he probably scores, but he definitely gets the first down. We ran that play 5 weeks ago in a 4th and 1 and converted. And he said, that's total miscommunication on us as coaches. The quarterback did the right thing based on what he was told. He never should have been told that. Saleh said, and keep this in mind, Tampa Bay, if you go on another deep playoff run, and if by chance you end up the 2 seed after next week's games, I mean, these are the little breaks that you need along the way. The Jets should have put that game away on that play.
Right.
They screwed it up.
And that's what teams have 4 wins do.
And
that's when 11-4 is playing 4-11, and 4-11 screws it up.
And that's what teams with Tom Brady do, by the way. They say, oh, had your chance. Had your chance. You're going to pay for that. When he threw that touchdown, he gave that little shoulder turn fake. All right. And he threw that dart.
Look, there's a lot of people I'd like to talk to from Tampa, but there's part of me that would just like to really have a sit down with Le'Veon Bell. Saying you've played for Ben, you've played in a few big games. I'd like to hear what that drill was like from your eyes. Because you don't know the offense. And it was obvious he didn't know the offense, David. And Tom's got to tell him, go over here. Go over there. No, right side. No. Yep, I saw that you were open on that play. I got it. It's okay. But that was the guy after literally if I'm a beat reporter, I want to sit down with Le'Veon Bell and go, so you played a lot of years with a guy that's going to go to Canton.
Right.
Let's talk about that drive against the Jets.
Not only that, and the look on his face, I mean, the slow jog into the end zone, congratulate everybody for the touchdown, the slow jog back to the sidelines, and all I could think of, my best friend in the world's a Jet fan. And not only that, he nearly had his house burnt down in Colorado.
Right, you were
in the
texting
last
me
few
that
days.
he, and thank goodness that didn't happen.
And so all I could think of as Brady's doing that slow jog back to the bench is Brady's thinking to himself, guys, I don't lose in this stadium, okay? Giants, Jets, Patriots, Bucks. I don't come here and lose very often. You got that?
It's the first time the Bucks have ever beaten the Jets on the road in their history.
Yeah, it's the first time they ever played the Jets on the road with Tom Brady.
The starting five on the other side. We may talk about that and a few other games as well. Miller and Moulton. You know, it's a dadgum good point, David, right here on the Florida Sports Network. Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home training system. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I was in Troy's ear. Okay, because the crowd wants them to look for it. And I'm in Troy's ear going, they can't challenge. They're out of timeouts. They can't challenge.
I was waiting for you to bring this game up and go, okay, you want to challenge her? It's all I'm doing. I literally almost sent you a text at the 2-minute warning going, so you probably want to be able to challenge any play, huh, David?
Yep.
I don't think it would have made any difference in the Michigan-Georgia game, but it was fun. First off, Herb Street and Fowler don't even notice that the other quarterback comes in the game for a series. Did you notice that?
Well,
they're showing McCarthy on the bench and they're running plays, and no one bothers to tell the audience that there's a new quarterback playing.
Well, that's also on Fowler's spotter. Okay. So there's 3 people who missed it.
Well, 4, because Herbie's got a spotter too. Is Bear his spotter?
I don't know about that.
But there's 4.
Right. Plus people in the truck.
Right.
Where somebody maybe
come on.
Right. Yep.
And I never thought in a million years that Michigan, because why didn't they put it? Their offense is doing nothing. I was really shocked that kid did not play until the 3rd quarter. You?
I got to admit, I missed, when I.
Oh, that's right.
I was traveling and.
So I screwed up there because I was a lot going on. But the first drive, they went for it on 4th. I did not like the 3rd down call. They threw a pass on 3rd and 4. It was like a little tight end. He wasn't open. If I'm going for it on 4th there, I'm going to try to run it.
Right.
I want to get to 4th and 2. If I can't get it, I might run an end around. But you know what I'm saying? I didn't like that play. I don't have much to complain about after that. Georgia just dominated.
Yes.
But I don't get why the other quarterback never got in until late.
I thought Michigan's defense would play better. I thought Michigan would struggle offensively because I thought Georgia with the tight ends would constantly chip and have an extra body for the ends. But I thought the tackles would control their running game a little better. I thought Michigan would keep it 10 plus points lower. And they would certainly do it earlier in the game. But, Bennett played well.
He played great.
Yeah.
I don't think
really well.
I thought he played his best game I've ever seen him play, David.
1 minute.
Yeah, it's about an hour's worth. I was really nervous because it was supposed to rain between 5:30 and 6:30, and it was going to douse me in the golf cart. But don't worry, we're okay.
Oh, you took the cart today?
I still don't have a car.
Right. And out a full week.
It was either that or walk.
That's our poll question.
I saw you put a poll up.
Oh, yeah.
How's that poll doing?
Well, the one guy that said New Year's Day was wrong.
Right.
30 seconds.
No truth to the rumor. That's the sales rep. Tell you what. Odell Beckham's been huge.
Oh, yeah. 10 seconds. Just want to say I predicted that transaction.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
23 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Belated Happy New Year from Miller and Moulton and those of us here at the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. So much to get to since we last did a show on the 30th. Man, a lot has transpired. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, Brady rallies the Bucs to a 28-24 win against the Jets. AB has an out-of-body experience. He is a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. The Bucs are currently the 3 seed in the NFC playoffs. Tampa's final game at home against Carolina on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Dolphins went from the 7 seed to out of the playoffs. Done. Mathematically eliminated. Tennessee whooped up on the Finns 34-3, and the Titans are now the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, tied with the Bengals, with the Chiefs, who lost to the Bengals 34-31, snapping the Chiefs' 8-game winning streak. Bengals win the North with the win, and they drop the Chiefs down to the 2. Chiefs are tied with the Titans. Titans have a better conference record, and they beat them head-to-head. Mark, if Tennessee goes to Houston on Sunday and wins, the Titans are the 1. They're an 11-point favorite. That seems big to me. Texans have actually
They've been playing hard lately.
Right.
They really and truly have. I'm with you there.
The Patriots clinched a playoff berth. Boy, did they ever. 50-10 over the Jags. I do have one question, and I've been unable to find out. Did Folk, the kicker for the Patriots, get hurt in the fourth quarter? Because all I know is that New England scored to go up 50-3 and went for 2. Okay, please tell me the kicker was hurt.
Huh.
I mean,
maybe he had 2-3 in the pool.
Yeah, I mean that's very un-Belichick like. Also, they're
Well, the only thing I was wondering, like, nobody runs it up. It's the pros, and you keep playing. But was there something there about Belichick being angry about a coach getting fired midseason?
Right.
I kept thinking he likes Urban that much.
Well,
that's.
I will say Belichick and Urban visited frequently during Urban's time, especially with the Gators. Belichick drafted many an Urban recruit and player. But
I thought that was a little middle finger to Khan and the Jags for firing Urban midseason. I really and truly did, David. I could be crazy, but I was thinking that the whole game.
See, so if somebody knows, they were paying attention to the game, Adam in our Twitch chat room, you're the big Jags fan. I mean, did the Patriots kicker get hurt because, I mean, that's something that gets done in a rivalry game in college.
Right. That's Woody going for 2 and being asked, why'd you go for 2? Because I couldn't go for 3.
Correct. So, but 50-10 New England. Trevor Lawrence with 3 interceptions, Mac Jones with 3 touchdown passes. The Jags are right now still on the clock. They're still drafting first overall. And unless they beat the Colts on Sunday,
Which ain't happening.
No. Good luck there. Speaking of the Colts, they lost at home to the Raiders, 23-20.
Good football game.
Right now, the Colts and Raiders both in line to make the playoffs. They both have to win next week. Indy is at Jacksonville. Raiders, meanwhile, have a winner-go-home game with the Chargers. How about that? The Rams rallied, trailing basically all day against the Ravens.
Killing me, Stafford.
And then Stafford finds Kupp, and he finds Beckham, and then he finds Beckham again for a touchdown with a minute to go. 2019 Rams over the Ravens, who have just had 4 of the most grueling losses in the last 5 weeks that you can have. 3 of them by a point and 1 of them by 2.
Cost the Bucks the 2 seed blowing that game. I mean,
Yes.
still another shot with the Rams and Niners. Niners have beaten them 5 straight, but a golden opportunity for Tampa to get that 2 seed. By the way, as we predict that Al Michaels will be in Vegas for that final week of the season, that
Yes.
Raiders-Chargers games will be your Sunday night game next week.
Right. The 2 Saturday games on ABC/ESPN have already been announced, and the Sunday night game on NBC has been announced. Nance, Romo, Buck, and Aikman still waiting to find out where it is they are going.
Chiefs-Broncos is your early Saturday kick. Cowboys-Eagles is your late Saturday kick. I can tell you right now, you're going to be in L.A.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we think we're getting Niners-Rams.
You're not doing Carolina and Tampa. Life's not going to be that good to you.
No, I may not get a home game all year. May not get a trip up I-75
I'll tell you what, the one
year.
thing you're going to need is you're going to need San Francisco to beat the Rams.
Absolutely, I am. Yes.
Gives you a chance for a 2-3 game,
Which would be great.
which you probably wouldn't do either.
No. I would. Well, who knows? I mean, because if
You're not going to do a game in Tampa all year, David.
Well,
This is going to be the irony of all ironies. You work for a network that covers the Bucks
right.
with the #1 crew. They're the defending Super Bowl champions, and you did not have a drive-up game this year.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. And between the Packers and the Cowboys could avoid
Right.
Tampa altogether in the playoffs. I know, it sucks.
It's only Tom Brady. Why would you want to give him a good game at home?
The Ravens, remember a little over a month ago when they were the 1 seed in the AFC? Yeah, now they're 8-8 and they're on life support. We mentioned the Rams having to play the Niners on Sunday. The Niners, after trailing 7-3 at the half, Trey Lance led them to a 23-7 win over the Texans. San Francisco controls their you-know-what. If they beat the Rams, they're in. However, if they lose to the Rams and the Saints win in Atlanta, New Orleans will grab the final playoff spot. New Orleans stayed alive with an 18-10 win over Carolina. The Eagles clinched a playoff spot by beating Washington 20-16, and they got in when Green Bay officially eliminated Minnesota 37-10. The game I was at in Dallas, pretty good one. Arizona snapped their skid and snapped the Cowboys' 4-game winning streak, 23-20. Arizona tied with the Rams. Rams own the tiebreaker. Cowboys right now are the 4 seed. Seattle beat Denver 51-29. Wow, and the Chargers Seattle beat Detroit 51-29 in a game that wasn't that close, and the Chargers beat Denver 34-13. Mark, did you see that railing collapse in Washington?
I did see that. Boy, you got to love the Eagles fans falling face first into a tunnel and then only wanting to get up and take a picture with Jalen Hurts,
who was kind enough to put his arm around him, and after finding out they were okay, take whatever pictures they wanted. Michael Gallup likely tore his ACL in the Cowboys' loss. All right, quick look at the playoff picture. Tennessee's the 1. KC's the 2. Cincy is the 3. Buffalo is the 4. Mentioned Tennessee's at Houston. KC is at Denver. Cincy is at Cleveland. Buffalo is home for the Jets. Patriots are the 5. They travel to Miami. New England needs a win and a Buffalo loss, which is unlikely to win the East. Although right now, Buffalo and New England would play for a third time. Technically, Indy is the 6, and they're at Jacksonville, a win and they're in. And then the Chargers and the Raiders are tied for the 7th and final spot, and they play one another in Vegas on Sunday. Baltimore and Pittsburgh still mathematically alive.
This is obviously, as you said, the Chargers are in, but they play Vegas. Crazy week 17, leading up to what should be a great final week of the season.
Green Bay has officially clinched the 1 seed in the NFC. They do not have to do anything in Detroit. They don't even have to show up. They are the one that for the second year in a row, the road to the Super Bowl in the NFC will go through Lambeau Field. Technically, the Rams are the 2. They're tied with Tampa, but remember, they beat the Bucs head-to-head. Dallas is the 4. Same record as Arizona, and right now those two would meet in a rematch in the first round of the playoffs in Dallas, where Kyler Murray has never lost at Jerry's Place. He's now 8-0. The Niners are the 6, but they're not in the playoffs. Philly is the 7, and they are in. Philly can lose at home to Dallas. It doesn't matter. They're in the playoffs. Niners win and they're in. Lose and the Saints win in Atlanta next week. The Saints will make the playoffs.
Boy, oh boy, what a difference that is for the 2 seed. Difference between playing a team that has an offense and one that does not.
One other football note, it saddened me. Dan Reeves passed away on New Year's morning. He was 77 years old. I don't know why it bothers me so much. You know it does.
No, I was going to say, did it sadden you or did it piss you off? And I'm not because I saw your tweet, and that was not a sympathetic tweet. It was a little bit more angry, and I'm not trying to be smart here. You have passion about certain people and certain coaches, and 2 of them are Marty Schottenheimer and Dan Reeves. And when Dan Reeves passed away, not being in the Hall of Fame, I knew you were going to be a little honked off, because if he gets in, it'll be posthumously, and that is not what he deserved.
Well, not to me. I mean, first off, they're both top 10 all-time in wins. They both won over 200 games. That's pretty damn hard to do. All right? They both took 3 different teams to the playoffs. Reeves took 2 different franchises to the Super Bowl. Not only that, they both played in the league. Reeves was actually a good player, and then was part of Landry's staff that won a couple Super Bowls. So I could go on for a long time. It bothers me. My feeling about Halls of Fame are simple. If you're going to have them, get them right. Get them right. Getting all choked up here about it. All right, where am I?
I'm not even sure anymore.
Hockey.
They're still playing that?
They are, and the Lightning have lost back-to-back games to the Rangers, despite outshooting the Blue Shirts by 17 and out-hitting them by 10. Shesterkin was on his game with 38 saves, and the Rangers won 4-0. Panthers forward Sam Bennett suspended 3 games for a cheap shot. You know, he does go headhunting. He's a good player. He's a physical presence. He's the type of guy you want on your team, and he's really valuable come playoff time. But Sam Bennett's got some dirtiness in him. He does. And he was suspended 3 games for a hit against Canadians over the weekend. Good news for the NHL, Mark, is 7 of the 8 games that were scheduled were actually played. And I'm not being...
No.
Boston beat Detroit 5-1. Pittsburgh got not 1 but 2 hat tricks in beating San Jose 8-5. And did you catch the Winter Classic?
I didn't watch a lot of it, but enough to see that they had to water the ice to keep it from being too cold. Things that happened in a hockey game. They had to put water on the ice to keep the ice from being too cold.
Correct. The goalie for the Minnesota Wild had a knit cap on top of his head while playing the game. So he had his mask on, which covered the top of his head, and then he had a knit cap on top of that, if you missed it, Minnesota hosted St. Louis Saturday night. It was 6 below when they dropped the puck, 10 below when the game ended. That's temperature. That's not wind chill. Wind chill was in the minus 20s, by the way. Sold out crowd of nearly 40,000.
Of course it was.
It's a land of 10,000 lakes. They don't care.
That didn't bother them a bit. You know what they called that? Tuesday. No big deal there.
St. Louis did beat Minnesota 6-4. It looked spectacular.
It really did.
It was great television. Don't know if anybody paid attention. It was Saturday night, and it was on TNT. But it looked great. NBA, surprised Philly's even talking to us. The Heat lost, and they lost to Sacramento. 115-113. Orlando lost in overtime to Boston, 116-111. Cavs keep on winning. They beat Indiana. Phoenix won by 34. They're 28-8. And I'll say this about LeBron. He's 37. He's playing 38 to 40 minutes a night. He's carrying this mediocre team. He carried them to a win over the T-Wolves last night, playing 39 minutes. I mean, LeBron's been amazing the last 3 weeks. He really has. At 37. College hoops. Yes, they're still playing that, although there were 39 games scheduled yesterday, Mark. How many of the 39 took place?
I just had 13 canceled, so I'm going to go 26 played, 13 canceled. How did I do?
You were a little high. 21 played, 18 postponed or canceled. The 3 ranked teams who played all won on the road by single digits. Michigan State, Houston, and Ohio State. They were good games. UCF got beat at SMU, 72-60. Jacksonville was one of the 18 that had their game canceled. Gators gave Georgia in women's hoops all they could handle before the ranked Dogs won by 4. USF, who's nationally ranked, had their game against Memphis postponed. And that, Mark, at 8 minutes before the hour is...
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So that's just some of what took place yesterday, and a little of this and a little of that even took place before it. Because we got a lot to catch up on. Roy Cummings will join us in about an hour. We'll talk about Tampa Bay's big win and Antonio Brown's big loss. By the way, he had playing incentives that he likely, if he had stayed on the team for the game and a half that was remaining in the regular season, between catches, between yards, if he had one more touchdown, we're talking about 3 incentives that if you added them up would have been $1 million.
You're right. And he wasn't getting the ball a lot in that game. And there are a lot of people that think that's part of the reason for the blow up, is that he wasn't going to hit those numbers. So it's you're on to something, David, but there are a lot of people that wonder if that's exactly why he walked. He had 39 receptions, needed 50. Didn't have any in the game, I don't believe yet. Needed quite a few yards. That would have needed 3 TDs. And there are those that are wondering, because he wasn't being involved in the offense as much as he thought he should have been, that it was quitting over not getting my bonuses. Would surprise absolutely no one.
No, I mean, he's clearly mentally ill.
And has been.
Yes. I
mean, he's not, from the time in Pittsburgh, this is not a good dude.
No. And there are clearly issues there. And Tom Brady said as much in his postgame and said, we all need to be sympathetic and understanding. Miller and Moulton, Roy Cummings in an hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Grocery store during the thing, and someone obviously that camped and made it to Naples to get more food or whatever. And I see these younger people kind of dressed the part. I'm like, so how are the shows? And they looked at me like, what? Like, how do you know they're going on? But they played all the way till the sun came up in 2000 and finished with Here Comes the Sun. And that was the end of the show. And Roger goes, I had a 6 a.m. shift at K-Rock. I missed that. I had to drive back to work.
By the way, Johnny O, one of the catches that he put his defender on skates.
I mean, Johnny, I understand that if you're a Browns fan, you hate the Ravens. I get it.
Oh,
One minute.
well, and one of those games was against the Browns.
Well, I think that was the 2-point game.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
And that's what I mean. It's like it can't be worse. I mean, the Browns beat the Ravens 3 weeks ago by 2 points.
Right. Just saying, I mean, and they've lost 5 in a row, but 4 of them were by a total of 5 points. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
30 seconds.
Not only that, the teams they lost to, Pittsburgh, the Packers, the Rams. Let's do a little 2 in the Dolphins here.
Sure.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Hope you had a great New Year's holiday. Friends, family, that everybody's safe, they're healthy. And yes, back at it with a work week today. Talked a lot of NFL, little bit of college. We'll go back to talking college ball in our bonus hour. Adam Rittenberg, who covers college football for ESPN, talking about the playoff. Underwhelming again. Hats off to the 2 SEC teams, who many thought were the 2 best teams in the country most of the season. And they certainly proved it Friday night. But just college football as a sport, what, if anything, needs to be done, and where does it go from here? We'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show. But, Mark, while we've spent a lot of time on the Bucs, we have kind of glossed over the fact that the Dolphins took the second longest winning streak in the league into a really important game.
They did.
Yesterday. Against a team that, while having a gaudy record, is about as vulnerable as they could be right now. Still without their star player, many other players hurt. They have actually used more players than any team in the league this year. The Titans have now played 88 guys in a game. 88 players have suited up for the Titans so far this year. And yet they whooped the Dolphins.
They did. They did.
And
Tua was terrible.
There we go.
Terrible. It was far and away the worst game. I leave the little bit of last year. This was awful. Completed under 50% of his passes. The pick, David, I have no issues with the interceptions. He's going to throw interceptions. They have a bad offensive line. He's a young quarterback. Fumbled the ball 3 times yesterday. Runs around with the ball, carrying it like, hey, here's the ball, buddy. If you want to hit me in the arm really hard and you're 300 pounds and I'm 5'10", it might fall out. That's my biggest issue. I think the interceptions can be fixed.
There are not a lot of interceptions.
No, there are not.
I don't even think he's gotten to 10 yet this year, which you consider the fact that a lot of his receivers don't have separation, and he's got very little time to throw and virtually no help from a running game. I'm fine. I mean, he's completing 70% of his passes. I mean, I'm fine with him throwing the ball. I mean, there are some who aren't. I'm fine with him throwing the ball. But Mark, you're right. All right. I mean, it's a big part of being quarterback is protecting the ball.
And, I think that needs to be our poll question today, as much as I hate to say it. Dolph fan, do you want to make because yesterday was an early defining moment in his career. He's getting to the point where we've seen a pretty decent amount of a body of work. A regression like yesterday was not supposed to happen.
No.
You can lose that football game.
Right.
You can't look as if you never have played in the league before. And yesterday, he looked as bad as he has ever looked. It was terrible. Terrible.
There's a couple of things that concern me if I'm a Dolph fan, and it's tough to go last year and this year and combine them together. Maybe it's unfair. You could say it's apples and oranges. A lot of the players are different and all that. But remember, they went to Buffalo, and I understand Buffalo was better than them. They were underdogs in the game.
Right.
But they went to Buffalo last year, final game of the year.
How many did they lose by, David?
A lot.
30.
And Tua was not good. And they got shellacked.
It was a year ago. It was literally 52 weeks ago. Got beat by 30. Yesterday, they got beat by 31.
And they went to Nashville. Once again, a team that was better than them. But the game had real meaning to Miami. I mean, Miami knew if they won it, they were playing a play-in game the next week. That they would play the Patriots knowing if they won, they were in the playoffs.
And I know that you think your quarterback's going to be good and you're going to get home playoff games. But right now, he's had to go on the road twice in the last 2 years to play in cold, bad weather situations. And he's looked as if he can't handle the situation.
And so have they.
Right. And for the not so distant future, David, the road's going to go through Buffalo in that division. At some point, they're going to have to go up to Buffalo and beat them.
And it would be nice if they would start being competitive in these situations.
Correct.
And remember, we are not comparing Tua and the Dolphins to Joe Burrow and the Bengals, which, it's really easy. We do it in politics and we do it in sports as well. We make all our comparisons extreme because it's real easy to make your point that way. Joe Burrow is the outlier. There's a lot of ground in between where most quarterbacks are and Joe Burrow. You're just wanting your quarterback to bridge at least half that ground.
Problem is Justin Herbert's light years ahead of Tua as well.
I understand, but, they're 9-7.
No.
I mean,
I got you. See, the difference is I watched Herbert throw a long pass on strike. And the pass to Waddle by Tua was great. But the guy who's supposed to be accurate rolling to his left had a first down of a guy 8 yards away. And it didn't come within a freight train of him, David.
No, he was not
good.
Oh,
my goodness.
I know. I'll say this, though. If Tua had Herbert's talent, they'd be at least 9-7.
Agreed.
I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you could argue the Chargers are underachieving.
You could.
I mean,
and if we want to go game by game, and they're playing tougher teams, and Miami did all of this winning against a bunch of garbage too.
I understand, but everybody plays virtually the same teams. You play what you have.
I got you. I'm with you. Their offensive line's bad. Their offensive line is worse than Tua. Yesterday, Tua was worse than the offensive line.
Right.
That's the first time that I can comfortably say that on the show.
And yesterday had to be, remember we had Orlando Asagari on late last week. And for someone who is rooting for the Dolphins and who covers them literally every day on his show, I mean, he damn near does his show as if he's in Green Bay talking about the Packers. I mean, he will talk about the Dolphins every day based in South Florida. And he has already come to the conclusion that Flores is not the answer as coach, and that he believes that he thought they were going to go to Nashville and get beat, and that they are wasting our time once again, that they are living in no man's land and they are wasting our time.
I wouldn't be as quick to make those judgments as he is, because this defense is still really good. They've missed on offense. They had going back to when he was supposed to have Jim Caldwell as his first coordinator and then got sick. Whether it's Brady from Carolina,
right? Joe
Brady, the coordinator. Whether there's another coordinator that I'm not up on who the high list, because you're not going to get a Bieniemy he's not coming from Kansas City. But whomever it is, I'm not ready to quit just yet. because I think the offensive line's dreadful. And there were plays in that game, and I'm no expert on X's and O's, and I've never tried to be on this show. It's not what I do. But when you watch their running game and there looks to be a hole, and the running back either can't find it or can't get there quickly enough, there are so many problems on that offense. And I'll put some of it on Greer, some of it on Flores, and some of it on the offensive line coaching staff. Why they're not improving on that side of the ball the way they are the rest of the way the rest of the team is, I don't know.
But I can also understand, because turnarounds happen quickly. I mean, look at the Eagles. They fired their coach who won them a Super Bowl last year. They hired a very inexperienced coach who put together a coaching staff that most of the rest of the league was mocking. And they now have 9 wins and they're going to the playoffs. And that's after a 2-5 start. Now, they're not beating, murderer's row here either. But they're 7-2 in their last 9, and they're going to the playoffs. And I can, NFL fans are not very patient because there's a lot of examples of why they shouldn't be. And Mark, we've referenced him and them a couple times. Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It was only 2 years ago he was leading LSU to a national championship. Now, if we could just do a quick sidebar, there are those of us that have said this was the greatest offense in the history of college football, and I know some of you have laughed. But just so you know, the last 2 years, there are 2 rookie wide receivers who have set the rookie wide receiver record for yardage. Their names are Justin Jefferson and Jamal Chase. They happen to be 2 of the wide receivers that Joe Burrow threw to on the 2019 LSU team. I mean, and remember, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was who they were giving the ball to out of the backfield. I mean, we could go on and on. That team was on offense was loaded. Loaded.
It is fun to see little things, David. I happen to have 4 pretty good friends who are all diehard Cincinnati Bengal fans. I've known these guys for a while. They had to root for Andy Dalton, even though they knew Andy Dalton wasn't the answer. But he was giving them something, giving them some wins, giving them some hope, David.
That's right.
But yesterday in a group text, one of them just said, that Burrow to Chase connection looks like it could be pretty special for several years. You're damn right. You're damn right.
2 years ago, they had the first pick of the draft. And now look at them. They're not the future of the AFC North. They're the present. The road is going through the Queen City in that division, a division which was the most loaded division in the league when the season started. Things can change really quickly in this league.
Baker, you better play well tonight, young man.
Yes, sir.
Or it's going to be an ugly morning in Cleveland if the Steelers beat you again.
As one David Moulton would say, not for long.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Hope you had a great weekend. That was Philly, by the way.
He's been chomping at the bit to jump in.
He's apparently back.
He's still grounded.
Wow.
Oh, I'm waiting for breakfast to show up any minute now.
I think
he hasn't talked at all the show,
no.
so I'm figuring he ordered DoorDash by now.
No, I think he's forgot. I think he's hoping that we have forgotten. The problem is our listeners in the Twitch chat room, Philly, will never let you forget. Miller and Moulton. Hope you had a great New Year's holiday. Thanks for starting 2022 with us on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I hit a shitty drive. I got a tree in front of me, water, and a green. And most players from where I would be would lay up. I hit the ball really high. I can get the ball up in the air quickly.
Okay.
So that tree wasn't really even, I don't even have to look at it, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So the guy I'm playing with, who's 71, who shot his age a couple of weeks ago, like Pat can play. And he goes, so what are you thinking here? I says, I think I'm going to take a 7-iron. I think I got a flyer. I'm going to hit it as hard as I effing can over this tree into the green. Well, what do you got going on over here? These come from the other coast? Oh, see. Look at that. That looks like some guava.
Huh?
Look at that. Did you bring those from the other coast?
I sure did.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. Look at Philly.
Look at that.
And under these are some croquetas.
Oh.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Wait a minute.
crackers.
Look
as
at
well.
that.
Crackers.
I'm over it.
I refrigerated them.
Oh, all right.
But they're croquetas con jamón.
These are even good cold.
Could you save your sounds for when we come back?
No. These are so good.
Look, listen. You want to make a sandwich?
Will you put this on crackers?
Oh, what we do? It's cold. Mind you, I wanted to refrigerate it, but I didn't know.
All right.
how to keep
We're
it
good.
But they're softer, so you break it in half and you make like a
Really?
cracker sandwich. Yeah.
Put that on a cracker, dude. Holy cow.
I missed you guys. Come on.
Wow.
There you go.
Geez, all that time around family, you were bored as hell, weren't you?
You could have come hung out with my mom and my mother-in-law.
Yeah, really. We'll put you to work.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you say?
So you could have come hung with my mom and my mother-in-law. Nothing like not having a car. Your line was so good.
What?
When we went after me about the bomb and nothing says you failed more. Like that was, I think that was the second segment. It was either 6. I think it was 6:15.
Yeah,
It was 6:15
Right. It was the car
on the
segment.
30th. There is an evergreen promo in there. There is a 60 for life.
I think that's a segment that you could run.
Oh yeah.
I thought about that. I go,
Yeah.
that's a best of segment.
That's
you can
a
run
best
that.
of.
That's timeless.
Yeah, Philly, that 6:15 segment on Thursday, you may have to go back into Twitch because there are evergreen promos one after another. We did 15 minutes about the car, and David started talking about my mother-in-law, basically thinking I'm a pile for having to borrow my mom's car.
Oh, I gotta check.
I got tweets from people going, that was just laugh out loud funny. And no offense, not the people in the Twitch that are, I mean, these are they love us, and thank you for that. But I mean, I got random people texting the show going, that 15 minutes on the car.
I don't know if we should come up with a new poll question. I just think we should keep pounding this one.
So Rick Stroud, by the way, Rick Stroud was the one that asked, while you're doing your game, I've still got CBS on. And all of a sudden they flashed to Arians, and I'm like, whoa. Volume off, rewind, volume on. And Rick Stroud, I give CBS great credit. Came up quickly in the Zoom call. Rick Stroud, who covers Tampa Bay, asked this question, and they go to him in the Zoom. And they show him, and he goes, Antonio Brown left, blah, blah, blah. He's no longer a Buck. Let's talk about players who helped us win the game. Okay. But I thought that was a good job by CBS. Hey, everybody's gone and switched to the game, and he has now thanked the Bucks on Instagram already after getting fired.
30 seconds.
Like for giving him an opportunity and all that.
Let's see here.
Klecko, we got to see him come back first. I mean, I don't doubt that he's probably going to make an immediate impact, but we'll see.
Big Mad making a difference. Thanks for the opportunity.
10 seconds.
Big Mad.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
And as we approach 21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Roy Cummings will join us coming up at the top of the hour to talk more Tampa Bay Bucks. Their come-from-behind win against the Jets. Boy, Bucks did not look good yesterday. Should have lost to a bad team, but didn't. And then, of course, there's the AB drama.
Brady doesn't do the on-field interview. Gronk does. Brady must have said no.
Right.
So they get Gronk, they ask the questions, and they start trying to get Gronk the AB. Hey, man, I'm out trying to bang him 300-pound lineman. I can't pay attention to what's going on. Give Gronk credit. Gronk plays the dummy better than anybody. He ain't that dumb.
No, he's not dumb at all.
That interview was quintessential Gronk because he played big meathead and gave nothing. Gave absolutely zero in that interview. Acted like he didn't even know what happened. Bull blank.
Mark, he and Brady were indoctrinated in New England. Okay, just because they've come to Florida and they're living the high life doesn't mean that when called upon, they can't tap into the resources that was Belichick media training.
I'm guessing that if someone says, hey, Bill, you got to see this post-game clip because he won 50-10, like he cares. You got to see this post-game clip. I'm guessing Bill went, that was a good job.
It's funny.
You know what's funny? Poll questions sometimes, David.
Sometimes, Mark, they have a very short shelf life, and sometimes you really could just leave it out there.
Like the one that's pinned to my profile right now that says, I put a deposit on a new car on November 30th. I still don't have a car. When do you think I will get my vehicle? Well, the final results are in, and most of you do not think I'm getting my vehicle until mid-February.
And
I hate all of you.
And while I thought that was just a little piling on and you were being mean, I will say every day that goes by, you are closer to being right.
Right. I've got a week for option 2. January 1 has come and gone. For the
Correct.
2 of you that voted for that, thank you. The salesperson and the GM at the dealership.
Right. And no offense, your guy's stock right now sucks.
And you got to at least give me credit. I've not mentioned them.
Nope.
He.
Nope.
Him or them. Once. The next highest vote total was for the Natty a week from today.
Right.
I feel pretty good.
What?
No, there's no reason to feel good.
Wait, you think you're going to have a car?
I think I have the car this week.
No way. I'm doubling down. Okay. We are on the 5th tee and I'm already 2 down and I'm pressing. No way.
Problem is, it's the other way around.
No,
I'm on the
that.
5th tee, 2 down.
I'm
going to get this card and I'm pressing, and I'm probably going to yank it out of bounds. I'm going to be 3 down. We're going to press again on the next hole. Because you're up big right now.
I know. That's what this is. I'm taking it. Every bet you throw out there, I'm just saying yes. Because I know I'm hitting it 240 down the middle with a little draw, and goodness knows what you're going to do.
No, it could be 300 down the middle, or it could be OB.
Right.
It's
and
one
if
or
it
the
is
other.
300 down the middle, you still have to hit that 7-iron, and the pin's tucked behind a bunker. So I still like my chances. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's at that Mark Miller. Hell, I'll keep retweeting it at the David Moulton. I mean, we can come up with a new poll question. There's not going to be one that's going to top that. I'm sorry. That thing's got legs, as they say. That's not just an oldie. It's a goodie.
It's definitely a goodie.
So, yes, very funny behind the curtain. About 5:38 a.m., Mark pulls into the back parking lot with his golf cart.
Little Deacon Blues this morning on the stereo, in case you were wondering. Little Steely Dan for the ride.
And rain was in the forecast. And so Mark starts putting, I gotta put this down. I gotta cover this up.
I put the club cover down, even though there are no clubs on the cart.
Right. And then I gotta put this window up in the front.
And I put the window up.
And I'm looking at him like, you do know it's like the Flintstones. You got nothing on the side, you know?
But we don't know what direction the rain's going to hit from. I'm covering 2 of the 4 bases. I can't. It's all I can do.
Right. You think your seat's not going to be soaked.
I've got a towel in there.
All right. Okay.
Don't you start with me.
I'm enjoying the hell out of this. And it's not your fault. Okay. But also I know for the most part, you don't want to, but you could for the next month live your life within a mile of your house. You don't want to.
I've lived the last month that way.
I know. And by the way, you're doing just fine.
If it were not for having to do the things I need to do for my daughter, gymnastics practice,
right,
and the occasional run to Publix, outside of that, I'd be fine. I could go Instacart for the Publix, but David, I think you know I love the grocery store.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I can go for 6 items and still go up and down every aisle just because I find it fun.
Aren't you supposed to go down every aisle? That's how I shop. Go down every aisle.
No, you have a list. You go get the things you want.
No. It's well, you have the list, but you just go up and down every aisle. You know what's on the list. So when you see it, you go, oh, yeah, that's right. Grab it. You put it in the thing, cross it off. See, I go up and down every aisle once. I got to make sure I don't miss anything.
Do you skip the
No
first aid area? You know what I mean? Like the whole.
I skip the frozen.
Toiletries and.
No, I skip the frozen.
You skip the frozen.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything out of that.
No ice cream?
No.
Interesting.
No. I know you would think by looking at me, but no. There's a 2-row section of the grocery store that just no chance. Nothing coming from there. There's really like 4 aisles, but I go down them anyway. Sometimes they move things. All right. I like to see how people, don't adhere to aisle etiquette. All right. I get a big kick out.
Aisle etiquette?
Aisle etiquette. Once again, there are certain areas you pass on a certain side. Okay. You don't just park it in the middle and block the whole thing and stand there and ponder whether or not you want to get these baked beans or those baked beans. There are other people. I like people watching at the grocery store and how self-absorbed people are, and they don't care about everybody else around them, blocking the aisle, the whole deal.
Yeah, and I will say the closer you get to areas that have more snowbirds, because you live kind of in the heart, South Fort Myers, where the people around you are there year-round. I would imagine your grocery store is more year-rounders than mine. The etiquette factor at the snowbird grocery station is far less than probably at yours.
Oh, I'm sure it's awful.
They're way more self-absorbed when they're down here for 3 to 6 months.
Right. I get a kick just walking in. Okay. Most people, at least at the grocery store I go to, walk in the exit door. I get a kick. I literally will stand there and just do a little enter to exit ratio in my head.
Funny.
Mark, it's the little things in life. I'm 56 years old. There's not a whole lot I got left.
Funny you say that, David, because there are 2 Publix that I frequent, one more than the other. But I was at my B Publix. And just like you said, the entrance and exit, the entrance shoots you to where most of the cars are parked. The exit kind of just sends you back towards the building, if you will.
Right.
I got yelled at one time for going out the exit or out the entrance. I had my cart. It's literally going straight. You have to make a right to go to the exit. I don't know. I'm just walking. I was self-absorbed.
Yep.
Not even paying attention. I didn't really know that one was an exit and one was an entrance because, well, they both come into the little area where you get the carts. And the guy just gave me the old, hey!
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, loud.
Wow.
You know how to read an exit? I looked up and I went, well, I guess not. Sorry. But he did not. He was very, unlike you just taking the poll, he decided he pulled a 10 and under with me. He pulled the 10 and under items. He started, calling me out.
Right. Well, hey, you got to take it.
I did. I
mean,
waved.
Yeah. I had somebody yell at me about my mask on this trip. All right.
Why?
Pull your mask up. And I said, nah. And at first I was horrified. I'm like, what? My mask is down. And I looked and it was above my nostrils. Now it was not much above my nostrils, but it covered both nostrils.
Where was this at?
And it was just over the tip of the nose. And I got a big beak.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
I got
a
good
big
nose.
head, big forehead, big beak. And, I got a kind of the Carl Malden bulbous thing at the end is beginning. Okay. You could see where over the next 20 years, this thing could get big.
I hadn't really thought about that till now,
it's
but that's
just now starting to round into form.
What are we waiting for?
Right. This could get big. And so, the mask, but it was just over the tip. Okay, it was like 54%. I was still good.
Once the tip somewhere, David, you've kind of entered into a new area.
And so I was good. And then all of a sudden this guy yells at me and I go and I look in the mirror and I'm like, hey, this is good. Okay. Pull
Got
it
the
up.
tip.
Okay. I didn't say that. And he says, pull up your mask. All
Pull
right.
up your pants.
And that's exactly what I said back. Yell at me. And literally people are walking by me who don't have a mask on. I'm like, hold on. You're yelling.
Where were you?
I was in Texas.
In Texas?
I know.
Isn't that Florida light when it comes to masks?
I was surprised. I was surprised too.
In Texas?
I know. Listen, that and I had my first near international incident with the TSA this time.
In Texas?
No, in Fort Myers.
RSW.
Yeah. It had been a while too. It had been a while. They took my can of shaving cream.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Okay. Well, no, it's not. It depends on the size of it.
How big was it?
Okay. Well, he said it was, and I quote, 2 ounces too big. And I said to him, I fly twice a week minimum. I've been doing it for 4 months. I go, nobody's confiscated. I go, this airport. In fact, I come in and out of it every time. No one, he goes, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And I go, are you seriously throwing it out? And he said, yeah. And I go, well, I'll tell you what, national security, we're all a lot safer now. I go, you don't think maybe you're taking this job a little too seriously?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I got yelled at for wearing a mask, but apparently not high enough, even though it was covering everything. And that was after the guy at my home airport took my shaving cream. So I didn't shave this trip at a protest. Yeah. Take my shaving cream.
You showed him.
Yeah.
Cover the tip, everybody. Miller and Moulton. Roy Cummings, 8 a.m. Talking Bucks and AB right here on the Florida Sports Network.
To the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and the the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Two lanes open. But this guy was like in the middle of the two lanes helping his wife. And I'm trying to not, because the front left was open. So I got to, I kind of got to work around him. And I finally gave him the, excuse me. I think I gave 3. You should.
This is with guava, that one's with carne, and this one's with queso.
Well, what was that middle one?
I don't know what you're talking about here.
Cheese, queso, guava, and carne, steak.
Oh, carne.
Carne.
What does a guava look like? Really red? Like purple red?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I just know it by like the actual paste.
But it's in so many, not just Cuban, but a lot of Hispanic dishes have that. I've never really.
Oh, it's delicious. Best. The little guava with cheese,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hops, David, you should have told him if you subtract the secret compartment, they
I
always
saw
are
that.
within limit. That's really funny, Hops.
It was a hell of a catch. I'm sorry, it was only the game.
Pretty good little play right there, too.
Yeah. I mean, no offense.
You can play.
I think he's being vindicated. I mean, he could not get targets in Cleveland. He didn't catch a single touchdown pass in Cleveland. He scored a touchdown pass in 5 consecutive games. I mean, he's not the problem. Pat and I argue about this all the time. I don't care that he's dumb and that he may not know all the plays. The fucker can get open, and he's got great hands.
They did a nice job last night on Gronk getting open, showing a play. It's like, how does this guy get, basically whoever was doing color there, Moose goes, how does he get so open? I just, for the life of me, and they show him, and he's like, he does it on the line. He makes a block, like he hits, you can't put a safety up near him because he drives the guy 4 yards away, and then that's how he gets open. He crushes guys on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. He can.
And he's smart, so he knows if I'm going to crush him this way, they're already on their back. I go, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, he's a slow Kittle right now.
Klecko, you're not far off there, Klecko.
Jaylen Brown with a 50 burger.
Boy, Philadelphia's draft picks are really getting terrible. They're now 14, 19, and 21.
Right. They were all in the top 10 a month ago. Dolphins 19 or 14?
14. Phillies 19, Indies 21. And now Miami's picking 22nd. Who's really getting killed here is the Lions.
Well, and the Giants are as well with the Bears.
Yeah, but they're only up to 8. And the Bears play the Vikings next week.
Yeah.
The Vikings have to win.
Well, the Vikings are out.
Oh, they're out. That's right. What a disappointing season for them.
Yeah. Gotta cost him his job.
And they did it again in the first half of the season like they always do, losing games.
30 seconds. Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Thanks for starting your week in 2022 with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Roy Cummings will join us coming up at the top of the hour. Talk about the Bucks' big come from behind win and the Antonio Brown, well, end of the line. Dramatic end of the line. And where they go from here. Did you see, and I'm guessing you didn't live, but you may have stumbled upon it in the Twitterverse, Kirk Herbstreit's comments Saturday morning on game day?
Sure did. Sure did. Players don't love the game anymore.
No, they do not.
They're opting out of bowl games because they don't love football the way that he loved football when it was a pure sport and everything was better. And people liked their moms more, their fathers more. Dogs were happier.
I don't remember him bringing up the family pets, but you're on a roll.
Good gracious. How much does Herbie make?
I don't know for sure. Can I guess?
Yeah, well, it's because
Can I guess?
I don't know.
Okay. I know he makes a ton in endorsements, and that, you know, how college coaches sometimes have a low base salary, but, you know, they get paid by IMG $500,000. And there are certain tied in endorsements where the coach is going to end up making a couple million, but very little of it actually comes off the direct athletic department bottom line. All right. I don't know if this is actually how his deal is structured, but I know he makes as much off the field as he does on. And I'm willing to bet large amounts of money he makes at least 4 on the field, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So he's doing pretty well.
I mean, it seems that he makes a lot of money off of college athletics.
Well, that's certainly one way to frame it.
And college football.
Well, yeah.
But he can decide who loves and doesn't love the game, how his eyes see fits. Kirk can kiss my ass. I think it's an absolute joke. I thought Bill Polian was a joke years ago when he said guys were going to lose draft status by opting out of a game. Pay the guy to play in the damn game. You want to have the quarterback that's at the Heisman Trophy ceremony and the running back that won the best running back of the year, then pay him $50,000 to show up for your damn bowl game. You got the money. This is an absolute joke, Herbie. You're wrong, dude. They love the game, but you know what? The rules have changed. Coaches can jump around and leave wherever they want. We had a bunch of interim coaches coaching bowl games at Notre Dame and at these other places because guys took $10 million deals. But it's the athlete's fault? Hey, Kirk, buy a damn vowel. You're out of touch. You live in an ESPN bubble where everything's wrapped and beautiful and wonderful. But life doesn't work that way. These kids are entitled to do whatever the hell they want. If they want to opt out, great. If they want to play, great. Ask the Ole Miss quarterback how he feels about playing right now. I'm appalled at what Herbstreit said. I think it's an absolute joke. It's almost Skip Bayless looking for clicks lines, but I don't believe Herbie thinks that way. I actually believe he's a really honest human being. But to me, he's dead wrong on this one.
There were a few things. First off, I was stunned. I didn't see it live. I was stunned when I saw it on the Twitterverse. Stunned.
Me as well.
My first reaction was Herbie needed a Snickers and a nap. I'm not trying to be flippant, but Fowler and Herbstreit did the Michigan-Georgia game Friday night in Miami. Game ended 11-ish Eastern. 10 hours later, he's sitting on a set in Pasadena, California, in an empty stadium, all right, doing a 3-hour game day. Now, why he's being made to do that show, honestly, I would look at his bosses and go, I know you pay him a lot of money, but he really can't get a good, decent 6 hours sleep before he does the Rose Bowl.
I don't know. Most people sleep pretty well on private jets from what I hear.
Well, okay. But that was my first thought. He needed a Snickers and a nap. One. Two is, Kirk Herbstreit's not even 50. And Kirk's a young-looking man.
Right.
Okay, I mean, whatever. I think he's around 48, and I am guessing that, I don't know. You look at Kirk Herbstreit, how old do you think it is? Do you think he's maybe 40?
He's actually, and I've got it in front of me, I didn't know this, he's 52.
Oh, wow.
He and I are the same age. He and I are 4 days apart. And it's only because I happen to just pull it up.
He looks great.
Looks a lot younger than me.
Looks 42, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
And then a good 42.
I hate him more now.
But I thought to myself, Kirk, for the guy who is the voice of college football, certainly on that network, if not
he's
recognized
the voice.
as the voice in the sport. Wow, you have come off as the biggest get off my lawn guy that we all could have imagined. I mean, you aged 40 years in a 2-minute monologue there. What didn't get a lot of play was that Desmond Howard came on right after him and doubled down.
No, absolutely.
I mean, doubled down.
Oh, couldn't agree with him more.
And it's like, whoa. So, yeah, listen, and I am surprised there was no nuance to it. I was surprised there was no recognition of a gray area. I was surprised there wasn't at least an acknowledgement of others in the sport are getting theirs, so I can understand why you would want to get yours. There was no qualifier to it. It was just the kids today suck.
Yeah. And now kids are coming in getting paid. These guys weren't part of the NIL. I mean, if you're at the back end of this, you didn't get paid the way the kids coming in are getting paid.
Right. And that's the way it works. It's the same way in professional sports. Legendary players from a generation or two before, and you look at what their career earnings were, and now that's largely a rookie contract for just a middle-of-the-road first-round pick. It's how it works, man. It just is. It's how it works.
The only place that didn't work where the new athlete didn't get the money is when they changed the draft slots.
Right.
And they actually said, we've got a problem here. Sam Bradford's making all this money, and he hasn't done a damn thing to earn it. We've got to fix this system.
Correct. In the NBA and NFL, when they put in the rookie draft cap, if you will, it was like, yeah, you're not going to get your money on potential. You actually are only going to get some of your money on potential.
Collegiately with NIL, you're getting your money on potential right now. Everybody's having a conniption fit over the kid from Texas that signed with Ohio State and went there while he was still a senior in high school because you couldn't get paid as a high schooler in Texas. Went to Columbus, spent a season there. He's now transferring back to Texas.
Correct.
And everybody's up in arms over this kid getting money. So what? So what?
There's no doubt this is messy. There's no doubt it's complicated. All right. Herbstreit and Desmond's take, however, was not messy. It was not complicated. It was very black or white. And I think most of us, and some people agree.
Oh, lots of people. I've had lots of friends. It's one of the first times I've gone to Facebook to voice my opinion over someone posting Herbie's thing with 100% agree, where I systematically took down every reason why I disagreed.
There are a lot of people that agree. I think more than 1 out of 3 agree.
Oh, I'm thinking, yeah, you're probably right. I think it's probably somewhere, you think in the high 30s to low 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're on to something there.
I would guess, 38% is like 3 out of 8. Okay, somewhere around 4 out of 10, 3 out of 8, something like that is the people who agree with Herbstreit, but they agree passionately with Herbstreit. As passionately as he gave his soliloquy, that's how passionately they agree with him.
And very few are as passionate as I am in my defense against him. Most of them are just like, you're get off my lawn guy and just move on.
What to me was beyond rich was Herb Street gives his soliloquy. Desmond doubles down. All right. Reese Davis caught in the middle, tries to nudge both of them, kind of like, there's a little something. No. They were pounding their fist on the table. Just, okay, hey, it's your show. It's your opinion. I mean, you're not being misquoted. That's for sure. Nobody's taking this out of context. You guys had enough time. You said your piece, the whole deal. I mean, we know where you stand. Good for you. Coming up next on game day, Lincoln Riley. He's now with USC. We'll talk to the Trojan head coach next as game day continues live from the Rose Bowl. Yeah.
And then it took Herbie, I don't know, a couple hours before he issued his apology. Just wanted to clarify some of my comments from earlier today. Of course, some players love the game today as ever, but some don't. How did that, Kirk, I want to actually know, how do you know that? How many of you talk to that tell you, I just don't love the game, I'm playing it for a scholarship? And how on God's green earth is opting out of a bowl game in which you are taking a chance of potentially injuring yourself and hurting your future income? Actually, it shows me you love the game even more because you want to keep playing it.
Listen, Matt Corral wanted to play. He felt he would have abandoned his guys at Ole Miss if he didn't play in the Sugar Bowl. He got hurt.
And Pickett, who didn't play for Pitt, was really tight with the backup quarterback. They were close. So much so that Pickett stayed away from the practices, stayed away from the team, wanted it to be his moment. And then, by all accounts of what they said during the broadcast, because it was Michigan State and I watched, he was upstairs in the booth and didn't really tell anybody he was going up in the booth, coaches. But he wanted to be up there, and he was right next to the OC trying to help. And then what happens? First scoring drive, that quarterback gets hurt and knocked out of the game.
But don't know if you saw it. I'm guessing most of you did not see it live since it was early in the morning on New Year's Day. But, maybe that could be our poll question.
Love it.
I don't know if we want to say basically do you agree or disagree with Kirk Herbstreit.
Kirk Herbstreit, based on players opting out, said today's players don't love the game. Do you agree with him? It's that simple.
Well, we have to make sure that we get it right. Did he say they don't love the game or they don't love the game as much? We just need to make sure that we get it right. Don't want to misrepresent him in the poll question. I think it's important that we, for as much as we try to have fun and all that.
No, I got you.
I mean, when I get slammed, I would at least like to be slammed properly. Don't take it out of context when you call it Jane, you ignorant slut. Make sure that you've got it in its proper context.
By the way, David Pollock doubled down on what the whole set.
Yes,
I
know.
There was not one person there.
It was amazing to me that not one person on the set didn't have an alternate voice. I was shocked about that. Shocked. I understand they're all contemporaries and they all pal around together and they're talking and all that, but there really no one on that show took the other side. Not even in a Skip Bayless, I'm playing devil's advocate just to fill this segment role. I mean, no one genuinely. I was stunned. That I got to tell you. It should show all of you. Hey, we all have biases, and some people also have agendas. It shows you where that show is aligned. It's aligned with the money in the sport, and it's aligned with coaches. They are in bed with coaches, and half of what they got and they spit out to you is what they have been hearing from coaches.
100%.
What surprises me is Herbstreit's got teenage boys who play football. In fact, I think his one son just finished his senior year season.
I was going to say he was going to get recruited or is being
And
recruited.
so it is surprising to me that he would essentially slam his own kids' generation. Miller and Moulton. Roy Cummings.
Wonder what we'll talk to him about.
Well, I'm going to start with the Bucks. You can go any road you want. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Arians and the offensive staff told Antonio Brown to go into the game. They believed that he was healthy. Antonio Brown did not believe that he was healthy. He had been battling an ankle injury for the last several weeks, did not practice Thursday, did not practice Friday, and I know personally had some doubts whether or not he would be able to be out there and play. What he told the staff, from what I understand, is that he was not going into the game because in his mind, he did not feel he was healthy. The response then from the offensive coaches and from Bruce Arians was, if you are not going to go into the game, when we tell you to go into the game, then you cannot be here. At that point, they threw him off the sidelines and then cut him from the team. So Antonio Brown.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. All right.
A player and saying these games are meaningless when we played in quote unquote meaningless games. I mean, I know you guys were here a lot, but I just don't understand, if you don't make it to the playoff, how is it meaningless to play football and compete? Isn't that what we do as football players? We compete. So I don't know if changing and expanding it is going to change anything. I really don't. I think this era of player just doesn't love football.
That's I think this era of player just doesn't love football. Quote, end quote. Just wanted to hear it. All right. Herb, S-T-R-E-I-T, right? Yes, that's right.
S-T-R-E-I-T.
Said, here, look at this and tell me if I need to add anything.
How much more can we add?
I got decent amount.
Okay. I think we should then put like in parentheses
Here? Before okay.
Compared to his era.
That enough?
Yeah.
Roy's on hold.
Awesome.
And we got 30 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
As we enter the third hour of Miller and Moulton, either halfway home for those of you in the 239 or the final hour for those of you in Tampa, St. Pete. Thanks so much for being with us as we begin 2022 together here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us. Once again, it's fitting, I believe, that our first guest of 2022 is Roy Cummings, considering Roy goes back with us to...
Hell, goes back to you solo before you and I even teamed up.
Right, in the mid 2000s there. Roy, belated Happy New Year. Hope you and your family are well and you had a good holiday, although you had to work it. How are you?
We did. I am well, and Happy New Year to all. It's and we're off to a rambunctious start, are we not?
I was saying earlier, Roy, I've got a bunch of TVs in my living room. I'm watching multiple games. I didn't even have the Bucks on a television yesterday. I didn't think they were worthy of one of the 1:00 games because it was a foregone conclusion. Oh, was I wrong? Before we get to the big story of the game, let's get to the game. What the hell happened for three quarters?
The way I see it is, I think number one, I think the Bucks let up on the gas pedal a little bit. I think they believed what they saw in the standings and what they've seen of the Jets on film, which wasn't much. There wasn't much to be impressed with there. And then I think the Jets came out and got aggressive. They took the ball right off the top and decided we're gonna go out there and we're gonna try to make something happen early here, see if we can get a lead. It worked. They ran the ball well. They found some creases in the Bucs defense, figured out a way to exploit them, developed some confidence, and carried that confidence all the way down into the last couple of minutes of the game, and really right up until their last play. And then obviously there was just a bad play. I mean, at some point in that game, no matter how much the Jets were up, you had to feel that the Bucs were going to come back and they were going to at least tie this thing up somehow, some way with Brady. You can't leave. Again, it's the cliche. You can't leave 2 minutes on the clock. I don't care if you've got timeouts or not. For Tom Brady, he'll figure it out, especially against a team like the Jets. The biggest mistake was whatever play call, and apparently it was some kind of a run option where they were going to try to do the end around again, and Zach Wilson ended up keeping the ball, and apparently the message didn't get through to Zach Wilson that under no circumstances is that your second option here. You got to run the run around or the end around. he didn't get the message, and it kind of blew up in their face because that was the game right there, really. And but still, to me, it's just another sign of how the Bucs have a tendency to just let teams hang around, and I just don't see, unless that changes significantly here in the next couple of weeks. I don't know how they're going to, get through the first or second round of the playoffs if this pattern continues, because they're going to be facing better teams than what they faced over the last couple of weeks. And if you let those better teams hang around, you're going to get beat. Now, who knows? They may end up facing the Eagles. It could be the Saints again. We'll see. Cowboys, Cardinals. If they face one of those teams, they can't let that team hang around like that. They can't play that mistake in football that they played the last few weeks here. And I thought Tom Brady stepped up yesterday in a big way. But the defense is struggling with the injuries. The offensive line has had some issues. There's some problems there.
Roy, it's tough to make a Saturday and a Sunday comparison, but I will in this instance because I'm talking about two champions, Alabama and the Tampa Bay Bucs. And I know you're working, but I know you've paid attention to what's going on Saturdays this year. And Alabama, for large chunks of this regular season, has looked the way Tampa has looked in this last month. They looked very vulnerable. They were banged up. There were one or two games they probably should have lost, but were able to survive, much like the Bucs yesterday. But when it absolutely had to come together, the old Rudy Tomjanovich line of don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion. Do you think that with the 2021-2 Bucs, that could be what we're at? That they now know, hey, essentially the playoffs start this Sunday.
Yeah, I do. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that message was delivered by Tom Brady as they went into the huddle with 2 minutes and no timeouts left in the game yesterday. They said, guys, this is it. The playoffs start now. Enough of this dilly-dallying around. We got to start playing our best football right away, and it starts here. And, at the end of the day, the season is like a game. If you win at the end, which the Bucs did yesterday, you can look back and say, okay, there were a lot of moments here where they didn't look good. Some plays got away from them. The other team looked a little bit better than they did. At the end of the day, who won? That's all that matters. And that's what the season is going to look like. They're in the playoffs. Come that first matchup, whoever it's against, nobody's going to necessarily look back at that and say, hey, they had some problems here and there. It's going to be, what do you look like right now? What do you do today? What are you doing in this moment? And I think the Bucs know now. A lot of players never experienced it before, but now they know. Playoffs are different. It's a different mentality. It's a different intensity level. Tom knows how to bring that intensity level. He knows exactly how to deal with it, how to adjust to it, how to manage it, if you will. And I think the players around him who were there a year ago understand it as well. So not that concerned, really. I mean, yes, you have to be concerned about certain things. They're giving up a lot of yards in the running game. They're still a team that you can pass against. Their own running game could be an issue. If the receivers aren't healthy, boy, oh boy, what are they going to do there? But you know what? Tom Brady figures out a way. I think Todd Bowles figures out a way. I think they'll get through a couple of rounds. I don't know that they get to the Super Bowl. And if they get there, I certainly don't know if they win, but I still think they're good enough to win a couple of games here in the postseason.
He's Roy Cummings. He covers the Bucs for pewterpirates.com. Pewterpirates.com. You can follow Roy on Twitter, rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Mark, at this moment in time, Tampa Bay is the 3 seed. They would play the Niners in a first-round matchup at Ray J in a couple weeks.
That's why everybody's pulling for the Niners to beat the Rams, which would make the Bucs a 2 seed. And Roy, I'm totally with you on Brady. We've teased Moulton over the years about taking too much from a sideline cutaway. But when they kept showing the sidelines, and I don't remember which coach, may have been Leftwich, but one of them came up to him and they embraced, and you could read Brady's lips, and he's just like, here we go. Now, here we go. The game's over. Here we go. Where are we going? He's talking about that they just started their playoffs. But that story is almost secondary to perhaps the greatest rage quit since our old producer, John Cassio, quit against my 12-year-old son in a game of EA Sports college football when they were still playing it. I mean, Antonio Brown, it was a rage quit. We now find out that he wouldn't go back in the game, that he may have been cut on the sideline. But here's a guy who's been given every chance. And we all know he's a bad guy. He's a bad dude. If he weren't a great football player, he would have never been given these chances. But this seems like it's probably the end for Antonio Brown, Roy.
You got to think, boy, oh boy, you got to think. And I mean, no one could have predicted necessarily that. I mean, I suppose if you had, gone around the room and say, okay, everybody give me your prediction on how it ends with Antonio Brown. Someone maybe comes up with, he quits in the middle of a game because he gets benched, or he quits in the middle of the game because he's just not happy with the number of targets he's getting. Sure, that makes sense. But I mean, did you really think it was going to happen? No, not after they brought him in, not after Tom Brady vouched for him, not after Bruce Arians gives him in essence, a second and third chance himself after the vaccine card situation. I mean, the guy's just a clown. And I understand he's got mental issues. He really needs to get that taken care of. But I mean, really, I honestly believe that from what, the way Bruce Arians explains it, that in essence, he was basically being sort of facetious. It's like, okay, look, you don't want to get back in the game, then get the hell out of here. I mean, we all say that. I mean, we don't necessarily mean, quit the team, leave the team. But Antonio Brown is so mentally unstable that maybe that's exactly how he took it. And maybe that's what he wanted. I mean, he sure as hell didn't fight to stay a part of this team. He wanted out. So he got out for whatever reason. And I can't imagine anyone saw that coming. It hurts the team now because you're down a couple of receivers. Now you're going to have to lean more on the Cyril Graysons and Scotty Miller of the world, the Tyler Johnsons. And that's not good for this team. I mean, when they got Antonio Brown back, they welcomed him back in because they needed him. I mean, I don't know that if Chris Godwin is healthy, if Antonio Brown is part of this team, and maybe they told him that. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe this is something that's been kind of, brewing under his skin for a while. Maybe it's been boiling up. But this mushroom cloud is, again, it doesn't come as a surprise that it ended with that. But the way this one, came about is just, it's really hard to believe. And with a guy who was given so many opportunities by this team, and he just continues to just spit in the face of every organization that gives him a chance. And if I run a football team, I don't want the guy part of it. I really don't. I said this last week. There aren't many coaches around the NFL who have it, who build their teams or want to build their teams with people the way Tony Dungy did. Where it matters is where what you do off the field and how you conduct yourself as a person away from the game is as important as who you are on the field and your talent level. I still think Tony Dungy may have been the last coach who believed in anything like that. Certainly for the Buccaneers he was. And there aren't many around the NFL, so maybe he gets another chance. But if I'm running a football team, no way in God's green earth.
Don Shula, one of his many famous quotes when his coaching days was over, he said, "There was not a single time when I took talent over character that I didn't regret it."
Yeah, that's kind of it, right? And that's what this league constantly takes talent over character.
Well, sure,
and it puts character way back.
Yep.
I mean, character, it's not even 1 or 2 on the list. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
Well, I mean, Roy Arians acknowledged 2 weeks ago. I mean, the only reason we're taking him back is because things have changed, i.e., Godwin's out for the year and Evans is hurt, and we need this blankety blank is basically what he said.
Yeah, and that, to me, that's where ownership needs to step up and say, no, Bruce, you don't need to do this. We're not going to do this. If we don't win a Super Bowl because we didn't keep Antonio Brown, then we don't win a Super Bowl, okay? Because you know what? This is just in, guys. They don't take the franchise away, okay? When you don't win the Super Bowl, the fans still come back, and they still love you, and they still and everything else. And if you don't win a Super Bowl, yeah, okay, you might make a little bit less on merchandising and things like that, which is share anyway. But at the end of the day, they don't take the franchise away. You probably gain a lot more by not holding on to players like that than you do from holding on to them, because guess what just happened? You almost lost a game because you didn't have the guy, because you were counting on him. You went in with 53 or 48, and guess what? You couldn't count on number 48. And it's really unfortunate, but sooner or later, well, actually, no one will ever learn this lesson in the NFL, not as a whole. You'll have a sparse guy here and there, but and hopefully those will be the guys that win, Super Bowls. If you can't do it without Antonio Brown, then you weren't worth doing it to begin with.
Well, and Roy, I mean, you covered this team for how long? 25 years you've been covering the Bucs? Has there been anything?
Since 1999.
Has there been anything? And I'm not trying to be a smartass here, Roy. Give me the one example in which ownership's ever done something that would make you think they would have done this with Antonio Brown. I mean, the Glazers don't have no track record of taking the moral high ground.
No, absolutely not. You're absolutely right. That's what I say. If I was the owner of this team, I would have gone to Bruce Arians and say, no. And I would go public with it. If we don't win a Super Bowl because we let Antonio Brown go, because that was the right thing to do for our franchise and for our community, then we don't win a Super Bowl. And fans, I apologize to you for that. And if you think I'm wrong, well, here's my office now. Come visit me in my office, and I'll tell you how it works. Because you need to set an example in this league. And nobody sets an example in this league. This league is loaded with Antonio Browns, and it's got a black eye constantly because of it. And half the time, everybody just looks the other way and says, oh, well, it's the NFL, and that's the way it is. But it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. Other sports aren't like that. The NHL's not like that. Major League Baseball's not like that. Everybody's got their bad guys. Most of them get weeded out pretty quickly, and they usually don't come back.
A fired up Roy Cummings, pewterpirates.com, joining us once again. Follow him on Twitter at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Roy, we think they can handle Carolina at home. So how about we talk to you next week when they're gearing up for a home playoff game? It's been a while since Tampa Bay's had a home playoff game, if you don't count the Super Bowl.
I remember it well. It was many years ago. Actually, I shouldn't say I remember well. I remember it, but the memories are fading because it was so long ago.
I think it was.
Date, guys, we'll talk again next week.
All right, thank you, Roy. I think, Mark, it was Eli and the Giants' first Super Bowl run. I think the Bucs' last home playoff game was Tampa Bay as NFC South champs hosting the wild card team in the 4-5 game, the Giants. And Eli and the Giants, who had just lost the showdown with the Patriots, as New England put 16-0 up on the board, and then the Giants flew to Tampa. And Eli won his first playoff game, actually, in Tampa. And, well, we know how that ended a month later. It's the last time the Bucs have hosted a playoff game. How about that? That'll be 14 years. Need to win against Carolina to ensure no worse than the 3, and they hope to be the 2 if they can get the Niners to beat the Rams in Los Angeles. And San Francisco has been good at beating the Rams.
5 in a row. 5 in a row.
Miller and Moulton. When we come back, breaking news on not one, but 2 fronts.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
$7.25 on them. Okay, and Burrow was aware of the quote, and he gave an answer in which you knew he was aware of the quote. Spagnuolo came out and said, "Yeah, this guy's the next Brady." Spagnuolo's like, "Oh no, this I've been in this league a while. This guy's the shit."
I'll tell you, his post game. I watched because 3 TVs. You don't see every game. A lot more. Like yesterday was one of those days that a lot of crap was happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching the recap show when they interview Burrow there. He's got a lot of that. Burrow is what Spagnuolo said about him. He's got a lot. He's got that. He's doing the interview there, and he goes, I did say back in August that the best way to try to get into the playoffs is to win the division, and you guys all kind of laughed at me. And he's just, drab, monotone. Never even smirked when he said, you guys all laughed at me. He kind of smiled,
Right?
but he kind of smiled and said, you guys all laughed at me. And then he went on with a 30-second answer in which, oh my God, he sounded like a 40-year-old boring guy.
But I text Tracy, hey, Happy New Year. Get used to going to Cincinnati. You'll be doing it a lot over the next 10 years. Sorry about your Wolverines. Hey, try to catch up on the air in the next couple of weeks. But between Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati.
Can we get her on one of these days?
That's what I just said.
Oh, I didn't hear the last part. Sorry, I got this
when
thing.
the playoffs start.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I want to get them all. I've reached out to Joe, Troy, Aaron, Rinaldi. Reached them all. I said, hey, going to be hitting you up here. Just looking for one a week.
What's his face? The guy that was so close with John come on at some point?
I think he lives in Arizona. So, but what we need? We need a Bucks home game. He'll fly east on Thursday at the latest. We could get him on a Friday.
Or a Green Bay home game. Well, it's still central, but
yeah. He's old though. He's up early. He's in his mid-60s.
Even if it was in the 9, really,
no.
Even the 9:30 and shift it around to because you guys did a really good job yesterday with all that stuff. What I listened to, television was good yesterday.
Yeah, I thought Troy made a great comment about Madden, in which he said, when you went and visited with John, every single time as you were leaving, you thought to yourself, wow, I learned something, or I'm looking at something differently than I ever have before.
And Moose, different broadcast, but Moose just kind of, didn't really, he just, basically said how much he owed to him.
Right.
He goes, because he didn't look at, he goes, my stats weren't something that was going to get the normal John Madden to look at me. His knowledge of the game and what I did.
Well, they ran a Nate Newton clip. I don't know if you saw it during our game.
I didn't see it.
They came out of break with a Nate Newton clip. And, Joe quickly got it to Troy, and Troy laughed and said, well, John Madden, something about Joe said, Nate Newton loved John Madden. And Troy starts giggling, and he says, well, he should have, because John Madden made Nate Newton. And he loved those linemen.
When they were showing all of the, even last night, they kept showing all the telestrator stuff.
30 seconds.
So good.
It was neat. Before the game in Dallas, they got the huge scoreboard, and they put Dan Reeves in memoriam and a nice round of applause. And then they had John Madden's picture. All right. And he got a hearty round of applause from the people just before the game, just sitting in the stands.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"24 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. If you have been listening to this show over the last 2 weeks, there have been two, what they refer in the business as off-the-field issues. One involved our young producer, Felipe, who committed
a mortal sin.
I mean, it was only a half a notch below AB quitting in the game, taking off half his clothing and walking off. I mean, honestly, it was,
You know, we could have another poll question. What was worse? Philly ordering DoorDash breakfast for himself during the show, or AB rage quitting? And I don't know who would have won that.
boy, close. I'll give AB, but
Yeah.
you're going to get a healthy 40+% of the vote. So Felipe's off all last week, and he was supposed to have a family vacation. People got sick, so it got canceled. So he was basically hanging with his family, I think, in a house, and not many people leaving and doing anything.
Right. And so, Philly, I have to ask, you had a week away where you really were not going to pay any attention to this show because you're going to be out west, and it wouldn't have fit timing and all that. How much of Miller and Moulton did you listen to or pay attention to last week, if any at all?
I listened to the last hour Monday, Tuesday.
Okay. So not very much. You
Right.
stayed away. Good for you.
Yes, that's what you should do. It's
That's
vacation.
exactly what you should do on vacation. But because your vacation got thwarted into a confined space inside your house, I thought that may have changed things. And, you know, hey, mom, hey, dad, here are the two goofballs I work with.
Oh, I showed them highlights and all that stuff.
Did you play for them, me impersonating your mom?
No,
Oh, man.
but I played the whole breakfast thing.
So the whole breakfast thing, the international incident that took place a couple of weeks ago.
Largest food incident that's happened on this show since David Moulton allegedly took a piece of cheese off a tray in a suite at Now Hurts Arena.
Unbelievable.
I
Honestly,
said
my death. I will fight it to
you'll die on that
my
hill.
death. Yes. Yes. I am Sammy Sosa saying I did not do steroids. Yes, to my death. But so we have the food incident. He orders the breakfast. We're sitting over here starving. He's jumping up and down. I'm so excited. Look at what I got. And I starts going, and and then the Spanish accent kicks in. I got a this, and I got a this, and I got a this. I don't know why I sound like an Italian grandmother there, but just work with me, people. So all of a sudden, Mark, an hour ago, takes Felipe down again. You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for breakfast. All right.
No, I actually figured waiting for him to order it again, a
Right.
solo. Yeah.
He'll get out of the doghouse when all of a sudden breakfast arrives. We go to break. And what appears in the studio, if not breakfast?
No. Cuban breakfast from the other coast.
Oh, my goodness. And let me tell you, the tongue is rolled and the R's are flowing.
Oh, yeah, the
Okay.
croquetas.
Oh, my God. I have no idea what's before me.
What did you bring in?
I brought in some pastelitos con guayaba y queso, con carne y croquetas.
There you have it. See?
I feel like I just got directions. I go here, I go here, I go here, and there you go. But so that all of a sudden, and then he comes in and he's saying, no, you're not eating it right. All right, and just takes here. Yeah, I brought crackers. Okay, and he's saying, and
Put it on a cracker, dude.
right. And so then he's looking at Mark going, no, don't eat it. It's cold. And Mark's going, it's fine.
Oh,
No, it's fine.
that croqueta was delicious cold. Would have been better warm, but it was still delicious.
No, it's good. It's good. So I have to admit, is this all for us, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, can we make this last the week?
Well, there'll be people back in the building, so no.
I can take it home, bring it back.
I was thinking, do you want me to take it home? Do you want to take it home?
Depends on how much water is on the golf cart.
So Felipe is out of the doghouse. That's it. I mean, listen.
Yeah, he hit a home run.
For those that are fairly new to the show, we're very open with how it is that we can be bought.
Food. It's simple.
There you go.
Been going on for 20 years, basically, in this market, damn near.
A couple of
15.
middle-aged guys, one's beefy, one's fat. I mean, it's not hard. It is not hard. The way to our heart is
right directly through our stomach.
There you go. So Felipe's back in the good graces, just like that.
Woo!
He went from off the roster to starting. Boom. To talk about a good week of practice.
It really was. It really was. All that chucking he did.
Right.
All that chucking, but he hit about 3 threes in the row at the end of a practice, and coach went, maybe he's got to get a little more time.
So as shocking as that development is, and believe me, it's shocking, it's not nearly as shocking as 2 questions into our Roy Cummings interview when Mark receives a text.
And I started chanting, I'm number one. Silently. Number one finger up for the Twitch audience, because my car salesman informed me that my new vehicle is being loaded today.
No.
That rumor has it, the final, what is it, about 140 miles?
Could be today. It depends on when it gets here.
Right.
Could be tomorrow, but I will, by tomorrow, have a new car.
Okay.
I'm hoping for today.
I'm taking the over, by the way.
You're taking Wednesday?
I'm taking the over.
I'll bet you a paycheck.
Well, there's no need to. First off, okay, no offense. We've had a few different paychecks. Which one we betting?
One of your good ones.
But remember, it's 140 miles. All right. A lot can happen.
No, you're right.
Then even if it makes its way to the dealership, I mean, something can still go wrong. I'm just saying, I don't want you to get your hopes up.
They're up.
I know they
David,
are.
they're up.
You put your arms in the air like Rocky at the top of the steps.
I ran the stairs in my head during that segment, David. Which means I don't have to work out today.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Felipe. What is it again?
Pastelitos con guayaba y queso y carne and croquetas.
And apparently Mark's getting a car.
There was a time when we used to be on in this studio, and I know we're on in Tampa and St. Pete and Fort Myers and Naples, but when it was just this little baby AM station here, that's what this station sounded like a lot of the time.
Well, it's true, especially once you hit 5 o'clock. Felipe, one more time, just for old time's sake.
Pastelitos con guayaba y queso y carne y croquetas. With crackers.
Wow. And then you sounded as white as you could at the very end.
With crackers.
Yep. You sounded just like Miller and Moulton.
With saltines.
Yes.
Well done.
You're on the Florida Sports Network.
I have to soak in every moment that I have left to see Mark roll out of here in his golf cart.
Oh, trust me.
It'll be back.
You're going to see it a lot more often.
It'll be back. Don't kid yourself. Miller and Moulton, college football coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Today was the day when, all that kind of good stuff still ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home training system. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Orlando tweeted out yesterday. He retweeted a thing from 2018 where he's dancing down the thing with Stuck in the Middle with You.
Mm-hmm.
Groundhog Year. He's oldie but inaccurate. Fins up, fans. It's a never-ending pain for us. Yeah.
Well, Yinzer, the NFL did ESPN ABC as big of a solid as they could. While this past Sunday was sexy as hell, next Sunday does not have a lot of drama to it. There's only one winner in, loser go home game, and NBC always gets that. So what they did for ABC ESPN is they said, well, we'll give you Mahomes and the Chiefs, and we'll give you the Cowboys. You want ratings? We'll give you some ratings. Chiefs are playing for seeding. Cowboys are hoping to move up. But Philly also clinched a playoff berth. So basically the NFL said, hey, we can't give you games with a ton of meaning. How about if we just give you probably the best ratings draws that we can who are somewhat relevant?
Big fans there, Philly. Text flying in with all of the how do I don't know, because I don't want to mispronounce a Spanish word. OYE.
Oye.
Oye, papi.
Oye, papi. Oye. That's like a.
Okay. All right. I like I said, I'm very afraid to screw up.
OYE. Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey.
Or as some Europeans
I didn't bet the Sparty game. I will say, after an 11-2 season, I can say this with all complete honesty. They suck. That is the worst 11-2 football team that's ever walked on a field. The coaching job that man did with that talent, that defense is atrocious. A third-string quarterback picked them apart like he was Tom Brady playing the Jets. I mean, if he can actually get a few defensive plays, because he can obviously coach, and he gets guys to play hard, and he gets them to play for 60 minutes. If he can get a few more players in on defense, and he's already got 4 transfers coming in, and he gets what he wants on defense, they could be pretty salty every year. They're never going to be Ohio, and they're never going to be Michigan if Michigan ever gets their crap together. But I'll tell you what, he can be a thorn in Jim's side like he is every year.
Mark, did you see the response that someone had to my tweet that I tagged you in? During the Michigan State game, I tweeted, I know at Mark Miller is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
And then the first reply was, Mark would rather have his truck delivered right now over some exhibition football game.
You know what? I don't get nearly as mad anymore. I've lost my fandom and where I want to celebrate or punch a hole in a window type thing. I was actually, when they got the pick 6, I was literally going, he's going to fall down, right? Like he's not going to score, is he?
30 seconds. AB is going to be a full-time rapper now.
Mm-hmm. Now, Baltimore has no shot, right?
10 seconds.
They do have a shot.
If they win,
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Get a lot of questions about teams and seedings and what's the meaning of week 18 to the games, to somewhat quickly review. Yes, Mark.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Tennessee is the one in the AFC with the Chiefs losing yesterday. Tennessee and Kansas City are both 11-5. Tennessee has a better conference record than Kansas City. Oh, yeah, and they beat them head-to-head. So if Tennessee goes to Houston and beats the Texans, Tennessee will be the one and will get the bye. Obviously, if they lose and Kansas City goes to Denver and win, the Chiefs will get the bye. Right now, Cincinnati is the 3 and Buffalo is the 4. They are both 10-6. Now, I think Cincy's going to be in a bit of a bad spot. I could be off base, but Cincy's going to Cleveland.
Well, can we answer that tomorrow morning? Because if Pittsburgh wins, how tough of a spot are they in?
Well, I mean, the Browns have already been eliminated. All right, so I just think that I think it will be tough to convince Cincinnati that you're playing for something here. The difference between, especially since the Chiefs are playing on Saturday, okay, and when the Chiefs win, that Cincinnati is playing for the difference between being the 3 and the 4. You know, I just wonder the Bengals' motivation, if you will, whether or not I think the Browns are actually going to bring more juice to the season finale than the Bengals. I could be totally wrong, but the Bengals are technically the 3 and the Bills right now are the 4. Buffalo hosts the Jets. A win and they win the East, second year in a row. They would host a first-round playoff game. Right now, they would host the Patriots, who are the 5. New England, of course, wants the Jets to pull the upset, and then New England comes to Miami and wins, and then there you go. But the likelihood is that New England's going to be the 5 seed. The Colts right now are the 6 seed. They have not clinched a playoff spot. They will with a win at Jacksonville on Sunday. Does anybody think the Jags have an effort in them, the likes of which the Jets had against the Bucs yesterday?
Just Ravens fans, David. Just Ravens fans, because that's one of 5 things the Ravens need to make the postseason.
And I think technically also the Steelers are still mathematically alive heading into the game tonight, because the Steelers can win out and post 9-7-1, and then they would need Indy to lose to Jacksonville to fall to 9-8, and the Steelers could then get in. So both the Ravens and the Steelers, if they win tonight, need what seemingly is the impossible right now, which is the worst team in the league that has lost how many in a row?
5.
To have this resounding effort at home when right now offensively they can't get out of their own way. Only the
8,
Giants. They've lost 8 in a row?
The Jags?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8.
That's impressive.
Sorry.
That's impressive. Wow. And then right now you've got the Chargers, technically the 7. They're tied with the Raiders at 9-7. They're playing one another in Vegas on Sunday. Winner will be in and the loser will be out. It's that simple. In the NFC side, the Packers have already clinched the 1. They're 13-3. They're going to Detroit. It literally does not matter if they win, lose, or draw. The road in the NFC for the second straight year goes through Lambeau. Lots of meaning, however, thereafter. The Rams are the 2, but they're tied. They're a game ahead of the Cardinals. Arizona's hoping to beat Seattle in the desert and have the Rams lose at home to the Niners. Then the Cardinals would win the West. Right now, Arizona would be the 5. The Rams with a win against the Niners are locked in as the 2 seed. Obviously, that means 2 home playoff games. And in a second-round matchup right now with the 3rd-seeded Buccaneers, it means having already beaten Tampa Bay and Los Angeles, they'd get them there again. The Bucs, of course, are hoping to win at home against Carolina and have the Rams lose to the Niners. The Bucs game, I believe, is early Sunday.
Yes. No. Tampa?
The Tampa Carolina game's
It's
late.
a 4:25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why I said you doing the Tampa game this week, David. That's why I laughed saying that. No, the schedule's out. The 4:25 games are Jets Bills, Saints Falcons, Bucs Panthers, Niners Rams, Patriots Dolphins, and Seahawks Cardinals.
Dallas is the 4. They've won the East. They're 11-5. They need, obviously, the Rams and or Bucs ahead of them to lose if they're to improve their playoff seeding. Dallas,
But the Bucs wouldn't matter because they won the head-to-head.
it would if it ended up being a 3-way tie. They'd go to conference record, and Dallas would have the best conference record. San Francisco is technically the 6, even though they're not yet in the playoffs, and Philly, as the 7 seed, is, in fact, in the playoffs. They're both 9-7. There's one playoff spot left in the NFC. It's really simple. The Saints need to go to Atlanta and win, while the Niners go to LA and lose. If that happens, Saints are in, Niners are out.
Boy, I'll tell you what, don't you think that the Packers and Bucs and basically everybody in the NFC is really, maybe not the Bucs, everybody but the Bucs is rooting for that? Because I think everybody'd rather see the Saints than the Niners, except for maybe Tampa Bay.
Well, it's an interesting dilemma for the Bucs. They would love to see the Niners beat the Rams because then they'd move up to the 2. Problem is they could then maybe play the Niners, who we all think's a little saltier team than the Eagles. Although in all likelihood, they would play Philly.
I mean, if San Francisco's already ahead of them as a 6, if they win and Philly wins, they would remain ahead of them.
Correct.
So
the likelihood is for Tampa, hey, Niners win. All right, we move up to a 2
and
and
get
we
to
get
play Philly.
And we get the Eagles.
Right.
So, but if it happens the other way, the Eagles would move up to a 6, and if the Saints are the 7, obviously that means that the Rams have beaten the Niners,
Right.
so Tampa would get Philly in a 3-6. So it looks right now
like Tampa's playing Philly,
hosting the Eagles.
I mean, really,
Right.
unless Dallas wins and both the Bucs and Rams lose, that would put Tampa all the way down into the 4 seed. Correct? Do I have that right, David?
You do.
Okay.
So that is, and we tried to go slowly and make it as simple as possible, but obviously it's a little confusing. It's convoluted. But Browns Steelers tonight. Browns are out. The Browns are done. Put a fork in them. The Chargers, by the way, beating the Broncos is what eliminated the Dolphins. That was the result that had to go the other way if the Dolphins were going to lose and still be mathematically alive going into the final weekend.
Here's one of the funny things about this, though. Even though the Browns are eliminated, the Ravens still need the Browns to lose because of the whole how they run the division. Because the Browns, if they're tied with the Ravens, would be ahead of the Ravens in the division, which would hurt the Ravens' wild card chances. For the Ravens to qualify, just quickly, because I love these things. First, they need to win this week.
And they're playing the Steelers, right?
Yes. Then they need the Browns to lose one of their final 2 games. Doesn't matter. Then they need the Jags to beat the Colts. Then they need the Dolphins to lose. And on top of that, they need the Raiders to beat the Chargers. If those 5 things all happen, yes, it's true. Not Rice-A-Roni, playoffs for the Ravens.
And you can make strong cases for 4 of the 5.
You really can.
But
every one of those, with the exception of the Colts losing to the Jags, seem like it's a real possibility.
Correct. And here is the irony. The Jags went 1-15 last year. Who was their 1?
Colts.
In Jacksonville.
And as I was looking at the NFL standings, even with the 40-point differential yesterday, if you take that away, the Jags still have the biggest point differential of any team in the league, even taking yesterday's 40-point shellacking off the board. So it seems highly, highly unlikely that those would happen.
So that's how it shapes up. The schedule's out. 2 games on Saturday next week. It's another reason why I believe, Mark, if you're, and we're going to talk a little college football in our bonus hour, if you're heavily involved in the sport of college football, I mean, look at what the NFL is doing to you.
And next Monday, a week from tonight, when Georgia's somehow a 3-point favorite against Alabama.
Which means, by the way, the early money's come in on Georgia.
Because it started at 2, right?
2.5.
So Monday, when we start gearing up for the national championship game, we'll have to get through all of the different playoff things that have gone on.
And
whereas
coaches getting fired during Black Monday.
Right. Whereas just maybe if you played Thursday,
yeah,
you'd have tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, basically all to yourself from a media standpoint.
Or if you wanted to say, oh, that's too quick a turnaround and what have you, fine. Then play Thursday the 13th. At least,
heading into the first weekend of NFL playoffs, you'd have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Right.
All to yourself.
And then once the game is done, the focus will go back to the NFL playoffs, which starts with a doubleheader on Saturday.
And quit telling me it's about the fan bases, and you don't care about the fan bases. You've never cared about the fan bases. You care about the almighty dollar. And trust me, the Georgia fan base is going to show up in Indianapolis if the game was on a Tuesday morning at 9 in the morning.
What fan base is not going to show up when their team is playing for a national championship? Let's be honest. You need 30,000 from each side. There's not a school in the country that could realistically play for the national championship that wouldn't sell out their allotment of tickets.
David, Eastern Michigan could sell 30,000 for that.
For the national championship, you're damn right they could.
And that's probably the worst drawing team in Division I football today. It is, to me, totally laughable that they want to put this thing on a Monday when it's Black Monday, the playoffs have been sorted out, and Sports Talk Radio will have spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday talking about the National Football League.
Remember, last time we had an all-SEC championship, well, it was Alabama-Georgia in 2017. It started generating the, hey, maybe we need to do something talk. That's because 6 years earlier, guess what we had? Oh, yeah. We had an all-SEC championship game in which Jim Delaney, then Big Ten commissioner, flew down to New Orleans, walked in a room and looked at then SEC commissioner Mike Slive and said, we're changing this thing now.
And the irony is Greg Sankey is more than willing to change it now. It is the other conferences that perhaps could be holding it back.
Well, we want this and we want this. And Sankey's sitting there with his arms folded going,
all right.
Listen, the status quo is really working for us. I'm proposing change so that you all get seats at the table. Yes, we will probably end up year in, year out with more seats and more tickets to the dance than any of you all. I don't know what to tell you.
But we already have more seats than you do. So I don't know why you think it would be any different. Maybe back when players loved college football more, this wouldn't be the case. As I try to channel my inner Kirk Herbstreit, who on game day said, I just think this era of player just doesn't love football. Do you agree with him? That's our poll question. You can go to that Mark Miller, soon to be the David Moulton as well. Right now, little less than 29% agree with Kirk Herbstreit. Little over 71% agree with Miller and Moulton, who think that he was out of line with his comments.
Stunned how hardline he was. Absolutely stunned.
And it leads me to believe, and David, you were the one that kind of told all of us this, that ESPN is very well produced, meaning they don't do segments where they're just shooting from the hip.
No.
And the fact that Desmond Howard and David Pollack all had Herbie's back mean this is something that they collectively talked about doing together and thought it was the right move. It backfired. Herbstreit had to come out and apologize, but it doesn't take away from what he said and how he said it. I believe Herbie thinks he's right. I don't agree with him. Miller and Moulton. The bonus hour for Fort Myers Naples is next on the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What?
Poulter's a
Yeah,
great Twitter file.
saw it. Tree.
Yeah, I just laughed at that. Trust me.
Bigger college football coming up in the middle segment.
Yep.
Anything you want to go with here?
I think we got to just go Bucks. Little AB, little Tua.
Yeah, we go Tua.
Go Tua AB. Get through 12 minutes. Huh. Suspect in custody.
So DirecTV is still doing center ice, huh?
30 seconds.
Yes.
Greeny's got COVID, so he's out till Friday.
He's going to be there in
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, fourth and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this, well, first Monday of 2022 and our first show. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Certainly plenty of football over the last 3+ days since we last did a show. Coming up in 15 minutes or so, Adam Rittenberg covers college football for ESPN. Good, bad, and ugly. You know the drill. Today was the day when, blah, blah, blah. 30+ minutes from now. I will say we do get a Manning cast tonight. And
good.
Have you seen the guest list?
Yeah, it's really impressive. It's really, really impressive.
Browns Steelers, they start with Bill Cowher in the first quarter. Second quarter, they get Commissioner Goodell.
Right.
I'll be curious how much they try to needle him. I would hope a lot.
I hope it's Eli, too. I mean, don't you just kind of hope that Peyton cozies up to him and Eli throws daggers here and there?
Well, and I could see Eli saying, well, Peyton, you're not going to say anything. You're hoping to buy a team. All right. But I could see Eli being like, so, Commish, you going to vote for my brother when he wants to buy a team? I mean, come on, how much money does he have to raise? What do you think? $3 billion? More? Commish, what team do you want my brother to own? I mean,
that would be the question I'd ask.
I mean, a lot of questions you could throw out there if you're Eli. So, third quarter, little Snoop Dogg action.
Right. That shouldn't be hilarious.
And
how many jokes will Peyton not get? How many things will Snoop say that goes completely over Peyton's head? And at what point does Eli start laughing into his hand?
I'm just wondering, at what does one of them pretend to be vaping? At what point do we get admissions here in which Peyton and or Eli are put under the gun and they have to admit whether or not they've ever
inhaled,
partaken or not?
I would say it would go the other way. See, if I'm Eli, I'm going, when we had Marshawn, he said he did 3 shots. What did you do before you came on? That's how I'd start it.
Right. And then Aaron Rodgers, I really think that the Mannings want to end this whole Manning cast curse before year 2 of the Manning cast. Because if you haven't been paying attention, what's this?
Every player that's gone on's lost their next game.
Correct.
Including Draymond Green.
Right. So they've got Aaron Rodgers because, the team with the best record in the league's playing the team with the second worst record in the league this coming Sunday.
Phil Mickelson did not play in a tournament the week after he came on the Manning cast.
Right. And he said, this is the reason why.
Correct.
I would miss the cut, so I might as well not go. That's what an appearance on this show does for you. So, Hall of Famer, Commissioner, Snoop Dogg, Aaron Rodgers. That's the guest list for the Manning cast. Either that, or you could just listen to the awkward chemistry between Brian Greasy and Louis Riddick.
Well, of course, that would mean that there's chemistry, or that they talk to one another.
Right.
And Louis Riddick is so good, and I think Greasy's awful. That's just me, but I think Louis Riddick's terrific, if not better than terrific. And it is just one of the more awkward broadcasts to listen to. And that might be a little bit on Steve Levy. No, I mean, isn't it a little bit of job of the play-by-play guy to try to bridge it?
I actually think, because I've been listening closely for the last month, I think Levy's trying really hard. I think Levy keeps throwing it in for those guys to bat around, and they just back and forth can't do it. Now, one of them can take their swings and give it back to Steve.
Right.
Then the next time Steve throws it in there, the other can take his swings and back to Steve. But, you know, when you got a three-man booth, in an ideal world, it's a bit of a conversation. And it seems to stop when it gets to one of those two. They don't have it together. I think the broadcast would be better if they get rid of either one.
Absolutely.
Okay, and the broadcast would be better. But I think Levy's trying really hard, actually. And I think it's a little bit of what McDonough ran into with Gruden. McDonough was trying really hard, and Gruden just didn't give a damn about what Sean was talking about. Okay, so McDonough was kind of like, well, I can't do anything more with him.
I got to get that that's Riddick with Greasy. It's like he doesn't bring any, he's not helping me any, so I'm not paying any attention to him. But you've got that on one end. That's where, 5 out of 6 are watching that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like Monday Night Football does like 13 or so million. And these Manning casts, the highest rated one they've ever had, I think just touched 2 million.
Right.
I mean, so the game's doing 7 times what the Manning cast is. The game is getting the people who are into
watching
the game.
And tonight's a big game.
And the Manning cast is getting most everyone watching the Manning cast would not have watched the game. That is essentially what the ratings have told us. Whether that's true or not, Monday Night Football has not really lost any of their numbers with the Manning cast. The Manning cast has just brought new people to the table. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. How much pressure has Joe Burrow just put on Baker Mayfield and the Browns? Even though they're eliminated for the playoffs, he's got a bum shoulder. It's in a harness. Even Stefanski came out this last week and said, yeah, there's no doubt the harness has hindered him. You know, think about it. Lamar's about to enter the final year of his contract if they don't do something this offseason. Kirk Cousins is about to enter the final year of his contract if the Vikings don't do anything. Baker is about to enter the final year of his contract if they don't do anything. There are some high-profile quarterbacks, teams who seemingly don't have the replacement on the roster, and or what we see right now is their radar. And, of course, tonight is in all likelihood, and he even said it himself, Ben Roethlisberger's last game in Pittsburgh. In the end of an era. I mean, 2004 is that draft class of Eli, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger. And 2004, almost 18 years ago.
Right. And, mere, 4 years before Tom Brady. Tom had only been in the league for 4 or 5 years at that point.
Well, he had only won 2 Super Bowls at that point.
And the guy they were chanting for in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, did not play well yesterday. In fact, he had, to me, his worst game as a Dolphin yesterday. With expectations high and 7 straight wins, people expected a lot more than they got out of the Miami Dolphins yesterday. He was bad, they were bad, and they were blown out, David. And he fumbled it 3 times. He lost one of those fumbles. And now, again, we're going to go through is it the end of the Tua era, as there's 14 articles out already this morning saying the Dolphins should move on. Question is, what does Mr. Ross want to do? And with all of the turmoil at the position, what's going to be available? It is the one thing, David. We mentioned this a year ago. For a brief time, this quarterback thing made the NFL offseason a lot like the NBA offseason, which is the best part of the NBA.
To a lot of people.
And the NFL season delivers, but the offseason keeps getting better and better. And with, you just mentioned 3 quarterback spots that we don't know what they think about their guy. A 4th in Ben that could retire. That doesn't even get us to other rookies who may or may not rookies, but rookie deals where we're not sure if other guys can play.
Yeah, Carolina, New Orleans, the Giants all seemingly need a quarterback. We've got veteran quarterbacks who could very well be playing their final regular season games for their teams. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Jimmy Garoppolo even is likely to be on the market.
Here's right now the first 10 picks of the draft. And I'm not going to do the ones where the Jets and Giants have multiple picks, but just the teams of who could need a quarterback next year. Jacksonville's obviously a no. Detroit could be a yes. I mean, it is a yes long-term. It's just whether or not they get one this year.
Correct. I mean, they clearly need a quarterback.
Right.
It's just a matter of is anybody in that draft worthy of taking at 2?
Houston will need a quarterback unless they think Mims is their guy now all of a sudden.
Mills,
rather.
Well, believe it or not, they do. And from a cap standpoint, he's a 3rd-round pick, and he'll be entering his 2nd year next year. I mean, talk about saving money at quarterback.
Jets, they're fine. They just drafted one. They're not doing anything yet. Giants, David just mentioned him. Carolina, don't know. Seattle?
Oh, no. Carolina needs a quarterback. No. There's no doubt about it. Carolina needs a quarterback.
Well, you don't think Sam Darnold will be their starter next year?
But that's Jared Goff, I think, is going to be Detroit's starter next year. But that doesn't mean the Lions don't need a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback desperately.
Okay. Seattle, more than likely, will have a new quarterback next year.
Well, the thought was yesterday was the last game at home for Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson together. This town ain't here big enough for the both of us anymore, Mark.
Chicago's got Justin Fields. Washington
need a quarterback.
Right. And number 10 on this list right now is Atlanta. How much longer is Matty Ice going to play quarterback?
Well,
he's not mentioned a lot, but
if you're Pickett, all right, that's one that maybe you've got circled going. I know a lot of people have me falling all the way to the Steelers, but, if you're Atlanta.
Well, what's fascinating, too, Pittsburgh could lose their last 2 games and be 7-9 or 7. 7-9-1. Atlanta beats the Saints. I mean, just think of what, Pittsburgh right now 17, Atlanta's 10. Pittsburgh loses out, Atlanta wins more game.
Exactly. Steelers would be ahead of the Falcons.
Right.
Right.
I mean, this week has a lot to do with how spots 10 through 17 line up. Because Pittsburgh's in the 17 slot right now at 7-7-1. There are 3 8-8 teams.
Mentioned Rodgers, mentioned Russell Wilson. Then there's obviously Deshaun with Houston. So, Deshaun's available. Russell could be made available. Aaron Rodgers has said he's going to make up his mind shortly after the season ends.
6 of the 10 need a quarterback of the first 10. That didn't even get to the Pittsburghs and what happens in Minnesota and what happens in Cleveland. 6 of the 10 need a quarterback.
Right.
And that's with Mills saying that Houston sticks with him.
And we haven't even gotten to Philadelphia, which has just made the playoffs.
Or Denver.
Well, they need a quarterback.
Right. New Orleans. What are they going to do?
Desperately needs a quarterback.
Becoming a trend.
It's going to be a really sexy March.
Once again.
March Madness is going to have nothing on the NFL quarterback free agency trade market.
If you're starting a new league, I suggest playing all of your games in July.
Miller and Moulton. Adam Rittenberg covers college football for ESPN. He'll join us next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So Oregon played Iowa State last year in a bowl game. Do I have my little? I should have it here. Washington didn't play in one. They won in 19 against Boise. California beat Illinois 2 years ago. Yeah, so USC lost to Iowa. Utah lost to Texas. Arizona State beat Florida State in the Sun Bowl in 19.
19. Yeah, because Sun Bowl didn't get played last year.
That's what I'm just going through, but yeah, they lost all theirs last year. So they won a few 19 bowl games.
Right, okay,
They won a couple. They went like 2 and whatever in 19, 2 and 3, 2 and 4, something like that.
According to the Sun Bowl people, that they said Central Michigan saved the bowl. That they said if we had gone 2 years in a row without
It's done.
we were done.
And they won. You got a halfway entertaining game, didn't you? I mean,
Yeah, totally.
they tried to hold on, tried to spit it away from
They tried desperately to give it away. They were in total control of that game. They were up 24-0, and it should have been 42-0. And then next thing you know, it's 24-21.
Chris, actually, I said it's the worst game I've ever seen him play, but thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. You have zero credibility, dude. You said the same thing for a year, okay? Even when he played good, you said he sucked. So you have zero credibility. None. Zero. Zip, zilch, nada. You're like the Michigan fan that when they finally beat Michigan State, they come flood my phone with text. Great. Way to go. We all know what your opinion is, bro.
Yeah, DC, I think the Vikings are going to have a bit of a tear down here. I wonder if I think the owner's going to keep the front office, but new coach, they're going to go in a direction, I think, with Cousins. I don't think they're going to renew him. I think he's going to be a lame duck next year. Mm-hmm.
No, because he played great for 4 or 5 games in a row, and you just came in every week, or you disappeared. You either hid or you disappeared. It's one or the other, bro. No. You can't take 2 months off, not say a word, and then come and, I told you so after one bad game. That's actually a joke, man. It's laughable. Laughable. Zero credibility.
Wow. He's going slow syllables.
Adam's on hold.
All right. Don't you be falling asleep over there. I mean, you had some semblance of sleep. I had 2 hours and 20 minutes. Suck it up there, young fella.
Oh, I went to bed at like 8:30 last night.
I think I had just gotten to the airport.
I don't think I saw 9. Maybe.
Adam, I'm a Zimmer guy. I think Zimmer's got to go. I think
10
he's
seconds.
run his course.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton. Florida Sports Network, Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and the ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when it is all coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. It's a pleasure to welcome back. It's been a while. Adam Rittenberg. He covers college football for ESPN. You can follow Adam on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. That's ESPN Rittenberg. Adam, it's David Mark. A belated Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's our pleasure. Adam, first off, just as a fan, never mind as somebody who makes his living covering the sport, your reaction to how Friday went down and where we are again. I'm just curious. I'm talking to Adam here, not ESPN's Adam, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
Right. Well, again, you're not surprised because these are the teams that have the most talent. I mean, this is why this sport is different from pretty much any other, is that, a few schools can stockpile the most talent. And if they maximize that talent, you know what the result is going to be. And so while it was nice to have some new blood in the playoff with Michigan and Cincinnati, you knew if Georgia maxed out, and I don't even think Alabama maxed out. I think they were good. They were not great against Cincinnati, that they would win those games fairly easily. I was very disappointed in Michigan, and maybe this is just me not looking back at the history and seeing how teams that are in the playoff for the first time typically perform. But I thought that they would show up. I thought they would play a lot better on defense. They were never in the game. But again, Georgia, there's a reason why Georgia, ranks where they do in recruiting every year. So they put together one of the most talented rosters in recent college football history. The question was, could they just overcome the confidence loss potentially from the SEC title game? How would Stetson Bennett perform? But they were terrific, and they had a great game plan. They outplayed Michigan, they outcoached Michigan, and they won that game in the first quarter. And so here we are again with the two teams that stockpile the most talent. They have great coaching, and now they'll play for a national title game for the second time in 5 years.
Adam, going into the game, I was with you. I thought Michigan would play better. I picked Michigan. I was wrong. It's not the first time, just the first time this week, right? But I thought that at the end of the day, Georgia might have to go to their second quarterback, and we might see JT Daniels. Were you surprised how long it took Michigan to bring in their young quarterback?
No, that's how they've used J.T. McCarthy all season. J.J. McCarthy, I should say. He's more of a spot guy for them. He'll come in for 2 or 3 plays. He'll often run the ball. They went to him late in the game, which I thought was smart because he is the future potentially, even though Cade McNamara will be back next year and competing for that job. But he's not a full drive guy. He's a spot guy, at least at this point in his career. And so a full on shift to JJ would have been a big surprise. Now, given the circumstances of the game, you don't rule anything out, but that's more in line of how Michigan's used him this season.
Well, Adam, 10 years ago, we had an all-SEC championship game. Jim Delaney showed up in New Orleans and said, yeah, we're changing this. Okay, 2 needs to become something. And very quickly it became 4. Then in 2017, we had another all SEC championship game. And that's the first time when you look back that there's a little bit of talk about maybe 4 needs to become a little bigger. Well, now here we are again. So, Adam, what do you think is going to take place next week in Indianapolis?
Well, I sure hope they reach a resolution. The difference this time is they've been talking about it meeting after meeting after meeting. They came up with a proposal in the summer that, again, received different reactions throughout the sport, mostly positive. And that's probably where we're going to end up in some form or fashion is a 12-team playoff. The question is whether it gets greenlit right now or it gets again kicked down the road a little bit further. But this thing will expand. But as I tell people, and you guys know this, you can expand it as big as you want. You know how it's going to end up as long as the recruiting is where it is. And that's concentrated in the South and the Southeast. And, it's why Texas A&M could be in the playoffs soon. It's why, Florida, will recruit better under Billy Napier. Maybe they get back relatively soon. It's going to be those types of programs, with a few exceptions. Ohio State certainly capable of winning a national title next year. We'll see what Clemson can do if they can respond. We'll see what USC does under Lincoln Riley, Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman. But you can make this thing 12 or 8 or 16 or 24. In most seasons, it's going to end up exactly like this season did.
Well, that should be exciting for all the fans that are not SEC people, hearing the harsh reality of what the recruiting's done. Is there any way, Adam, I've been kind of trying to pay attention to what Texas has done with their NIL and what Kentucky's done. Florida with this Gator collective, I think is a pretty sharp deal. Is there a school off the beaten path that you think has their NIL lined up where they could vault into this new group of teams?
Well, I think there's a number of schools. It's still very early in the NIL reality. It's only been 6 months. And so I'm really fascinated to see what USC can do. I think they have tremendous possibility because of the entertainment industry in LA. And now you have an A-list coach in Lincoln Riley, and you have enthusiasm around that program. That's going to be really interesting. Oregon has already, done some things with Nike and NIL. And so, I think Michigan could do more. Notre Dame, I talked with Marcus Freeman about that a couple of weeks ago, that they are going to go a little bit more into NIL because they still have a very interesting national profile. But I still don't think NIL is going to be the be all and end all as to why recruits make decisions. They also want to go to the NFL. And if you want to go to the NFL, there's a few programs that have proven over time that they have a pretty good chance of getting you there. And obviously at the top of the list is Alabama. So I don't know if Alabama needs to do a whole lot more with its NIL program as long as Nick Saban is there and as long as they're winning national titles.
He's Adam Rittenberg. He writes about college football and talks about it on ESPN and ESPN.com. You can follow Adam on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. That's ESPN Rittenberg. Well, you mentioned the Bowls. And obviously, we're having more and more players. It started with Fournette and McCaffrey a handful of years ago. We're having more and more of the top players saying, yep, the bowl's not for me. It's a business decision. Obviously, it drew a strong response from your colleagues there, Herb Street and Howard and David Pollack. But the bowls going forward, Adam, do you think, and ESPN also, who carries most of them, are they going to have to dip into their pockets and buy some insurance or come up with their own NIL deals to secure that the top end talent will play in these games? Or do you think it matters?
I think your point about the NIL component with the bowls has to be considered. If I'm a bowl director, I might have a great salary. I may have to look at that and say, if I want my salary or my bowl to be viable going forward, we need to come up with different ways to offer incentives for players. Now, the top end guys are still likely to opt out if it's not a playoff situation. That's just the reality. I understand the sentiment of Kirk and Dez and those guys. A lot of former players, guys who played in the 90s or the 80s or the early 2000s, have a hard time seeing what's happened with bowl opt-outs because they were in those positions and they looked at the bowls very differently than the current players do. I try to keep a non-emotional component to it. If a guy wants to opt out, that's his decision. I'm not going to cheerlead like a lot of media will, but I'm not going to hate on the guy either. that's just that person's decision. If they want to play, I'll be more excited about that because it's better for the sport. But I'm not, I think you have to take the emotion out of it and realize that it is a personal decision, not to be overly celebrated either way. So that's my view of it. But in terms of the bowls, they have to start being proactive and at least try to keep as many players on board as possible. And if there is an NIL component that can incentivize some players to participate, and there's a way to do it that it can be effective, I would be exploring that with all my resources right now if I'm a bowl game.
Adam, when you look to the championship game, is there, first off, if it's tough for me to even be an odds maker and say, wow, I'm going to put Georgia as a favorite given what Alabama does as an underdog. But what are the reasons why Alabama Georgia 2 will be different than Alabama Georgia 1?
Well, it's just hard to beat a team twice. That's for starters. I think Georgia's obviously motivated by what's happened the last time out and their difficulty of beating Alabama. I mean, Kirby Smart, you look at what he's done, guys, since he got to Georgia. This is literally the one thing he hasn't done. He hasn't beaten Alabama. He hasn't won a national championship. And it's been 41 years. And so Georgia both teams are motivated. It's a national title game. But Georgia, you could not have more motivation on their sideline. And they're just a terrific team. You saw that against Michigan. I mean, their front seven is filled with first-round draft picks. And if those guys perform better, I think Cincinnati did some things that Georgia can try to replicate. Cincinnati's defensive line, I thought, played really well for most of that game, especially against the pass. Now, they were susceptible to the run game. I don't think Georgia's going to be. So, and you look at that first game, it wasn't like Stetson Bennett was horrible. He had more than 300 yards passing. He had a couple of interceptions. The one in the red zone was especially costly, but it wasn't like they didn't move the ball against Alabama. They just have to be more effective and ideally start the game off well, although they did that the first time they were up 10-0. So they got to continue to play well if they get an early lead. But I really think take away the SEC stuff and people being tired of it, it should be a terrific game. It should be a really close game. I do believe if Georgia is ever going to win one, it's got to be now, because if they lose, guys, I was talking about this with my colleague Chris Lowe before the bowl season. They would have been better off losing to Michigan than losing to Alabama again. I mean, imagine what that offseason will be like in Athens and for Kirby Smart if they lose to Alabama again in the national title game after losing to them in the SEC title game. So I actually like Georgia in this game, but I mean, no one on the planet is going to be surprised if Alabama wins because that's just what they do.
Adam, do you think that there will be a new path for the sport coming out of Indianapolis? Do you think that there will be agreement?
I do. I don't think it's going to go into effect until maybe the 2025 season. Maybe they can get it in for 2024, but they've met so many times. I know the issues that are separating the groups, but I would hope that for the good of the sport, they could come to an agreement, because people want to see an expanded playoff. People want to see games on campus. People want to see more teams involved. I've been saying this for years, that it's not been a national playoff. And so any step to take that moves it closer to that is going to be positive for the sport. I understand the concerns for those who haven't gotten on board with the 12-team plan. I preferred 8. I can get on board with 12. I just want to see something that makes this a more inclusive type situation. I don't love a format that could have 3 or 4 or 5 teams. Well, 3 teams is okay, but 4 or 5 teams from one league, I don't think that's necessarily healthy. But if that still gets more teams involved and more games on campus, I can get behind it. And I hope these commissioners, they've met so many times on this now, guys. I think it's time to make a decision and move forward.
Adam, appreciate your time. Safe travels. And hopefully we can talk again down the road sooner rather than later.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Let's do it. Thanks, guys.
Adam Rittenberg writes and talks about college football for ESPN, hence the Twitter handle ESPN Rittenberg. Adam Rittenberg joining us here on Miller and Moulton. I do agree with him, by the way, that if you're Georgia, it would have been better to lose to Michigan than to lose to Alabama, just because it will hurt so much more. If they had lost to Michigan, all right, then I think they're willing to consider things bigger change, if you know what I mean. That, you know what, we need to commit to the elite talent at quarterback. We've gone the Jake Fromm, Stetson Bennett route when we had Justin Fields, and now we've got 2 5-stars on the bench for next year. All right, we need to pick one and roll with the talent. Things like that. But
David, I'm just going to tell you, I spend a lot of time with a particular Georgia fan, and he's younger.
Right.
And he's endured greatness and pain at the same time. I mean, not the ugliness of what it's been for a lot of other fan bases.
Right.
You guys are both wrong on the Michigan thing.
Really?
Losing to they can't handle losing to Alabama, but it's in the SEC, and it means that they're the second best team in the country. That's all. If they lose next Monday, you know what it means? Good God, we're number 2 again. We're better than everybody else in the world but Alabama. You lose to Michigan, you lose to a Big Ten team, and then you take the wrath of not just Alabama, but Big Ten fan for an entire year.
You couldn't just write it off as a hangover?
No.
Wow.
No. And they were all, to a man and woman, as far as I know, scared to death that they were going to lose that game. They lost to Alabama so badly that they thought they were going to lose to Michigan.
Tell you what, if that Stetson Bennett shows
up,
I mean,
that's the best game he's ever played.
I mean, he looked like, he could maybe be good enough to win a national championship with.
I mean, doing stuff at the line of scrimmage where he's seeing the play and audibling out to say, I can throw it right there and get 8 in the first down. We're going to keep going. No. Stetson Bennett was terrific.
I do love Kirby channeling his inner Will Muschamp, though. I mean, those two are best friends. And Kirby looks like Will. Every time I see, he's freaking out. He's absolutely freaking out. He's got 800 4 and 5 stars out there. Stetson Bennett knows how to run a 2-minute drill. Just relax. Keep the headsets on. Put some easy listening music in it, for goodness sake.
You wonder if at some point Nick has ever said to him in the offseason when they talk, lighten up, Francis. Seriously, you are correct in that. No, but I mean, look, I think this is the way that at least all of us can relate to it. We've all worked for bosses who are real calm.
Right.
And we've all worked for me, yeller and screamer. Working for me sucks. You're nervous all the time. I've always said I've only really been a boss once. If I were to do it again, I would do it very differently than the first time in my life. I was a terrible boss. Terrible. Didn't mean we didn't get a lot of good things done. But if we'd have gone about it a different way, we'd have even been better.
He's sweaty. The hair's
and he looks angry.
Up.
It's not a high-strung happy guy. Right. It's a high-strung yeller and screamer.
And Nick's not yelling all the time. Nick's got that clap down. Nick's got that 4 to 6 foot par putt clap on the sidelines down. Like, we're matriculating the ball here. We're doing well. Everything's okay. Plus, Nick's got the when things go bad, calming, fatherly act down.
And that's what Kirby really needs. It's one thing. You actually can yell at screaming guys when they're doing well.
Right.
They're fine with it.
Right.
It's when things are going badly.
Right.
That reassurance. And Kirby doesn't yet have that, at least for what we see on the sidelines.
Well, it'll be great theater a week from tonight. That is for sure. Adam Rittenberg, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when to wrap up the bonus hour here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and and reliable. And the best part is, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Where did Miller and Moulton go? Oh, there they are. Well, there's one of them. Ah, you're right. I did. Tell you what, Trenton.
I don't, for the record, sorry to interrupt, I don't delete anybody's comments on here except for bots. I never have. In fact, I don't even delete bot comments. I just report them.
I'm wondering too, Logic Man. But Trenton, New Year's Eve, I was at my house with my family watching the Lakers game in my backyard. It was a blast. That was so much fun.
And sorry, no offense, Chris. If I wanted to, I could just ban you from the damn room.
Ooh.
Okay? It's really simple. I can block anybody I want at any time. If I didn't want to see your comments, I'd block you. I've never blocked anybody on Twitter, nor have I blocked anybody on Twitch. I don't give a damn. But if I think you're wrong, I'm going to call you out on it. But I don't delete comments. So accusing me of things I didn't do is a bad move, dude.
Yeah, actually, it's, I think one of the good things about us is,
And Arch, if you did it, don't ever do it again. I only have moderators in here to handle the bots. If someone says something hateful or vindictive or threatening, it should be pointed out and given to Twitch.
One minute.
Logic Man, we may get to that. Give us a little while. Got to sharpen some edges around here.
Yes, we do. By the way, whoever is the big Warren Zevon fan that sent me all that stuff, while I appreciate it, man, I don't get it. I've tried to listen to that whole album, whoever someone got me into, with all the REM stuff on there. I literally listened to about 30 seconds of every song, and I will tell you the music was good. Warren Zevon's voice was bad.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
It is 16 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. A little late to getting to our, our closing act here. So without further ado, time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
You want to live in the past? Oh, I can live in the past. How about 245 years ago?
Whoa.
Yeah. Uh-huh. The tide is beginning to turn.
Who'd Alabama play?
Ha ha! No. Believe it or not, Mark, it was the Big East that was coming to the rescue so that the SEC could one day conquer the world. And by Big East, I mean George Washington defeating British forces at the battle in Princeton, New Jersey. Mark, we had to hold serve along the I-95 corridor in the Northeast in order to build Amtrak. Okay, we needed to first defeat the British.
Gotcha.
Then we could do civil wars and college football and all that. I mean,
Perfect.
There's a method to the madness here. This all leading to the summer of 1777, where with the French's help, we kicked the tar out of them at Saratoga. And then it was all downhill from there. Study your history. 1920. Oh, what a day. Red Sox owner Harry Frazee, he says, I need money. I'm going to sell Babe Ruth. Yep. 102 years ago today to the Yankees, $125,000. And get this, a $350,000 loan. What? Dude, what do you mean loan? Why don't you just ask for the cash? It's Babe frickin' Ruth. Oh, boy. 1938, the March of Dimes was established on this day. Why? To fight polio. Dragnet premiered on NBC tonight, Mark, with Jack Webb, 70 years ago tonight. Alaska, 63 years ago today, became our 49th state.
Relatively young.
Yeah. It was 60.
Goes for early birds, still for dinner.
60 years ago today, they broke ground on the Astrodome. Haven't used it in 25 years. It's still standing. They just like
Makes zero sense.
No, but it
to them, they love it.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I swear they would knock down half of downtown before they would knock down the Astrodome. Speaking of, well, I'll just let it speak for itself. In 1973, 49 years ago today, one of the great deals ever, a 12-man syndicate led by one George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees from CBS 49 years ago. Care to guess what they bought the Yankees for?
This is Steinbrenner's? I thought it was 10 million, 5 million. It was one or the other.
You nailed it. 10 million.
Yeah.
10 million. 10 million bucks.
$10 million for the New York Yankees.
Which was less than what CBS had paid for it 10 years earlier.
Right. I mean,
on the Yankees. I know it was 73. They had what, 5 bad years in a row? Oh, my goodness gracious. I digress. Johnny Miller won the first $1 million golf tournament today. It was in South Africa, which was very controversial in 1981. He beat Seve in a playoff. Remember the famous Tony Dorsett 99-yard touchdown run?
I do. Watched it live on Monday Night Football.
Well, it happened 39 years ago tonight in the Metrodome against the Vikings. Cowboys only had 10 men on the field, and yet Dorsett still went 99 for a touchdown. Vern did not do the game. There was some reason he couldn't do the game. Brad Sham did it.
Meeting at Augusta?
Vern was still the voice of the Cowboys then. 1987, Aretha becomes the first female artist inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mark, I know what a big fan you are of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Manuel Noriega. He surrendered to the U.S. today in 1990. The comeback, 35-3, Oilers over the Bills. Yeah, Frank Reich and company say, hold my beer. The sucker's not over yet. I had to come back just as big in college. I can do it again. 41-38, Bills in overtime. They would go to their fourth consecutive Super Bowl a few weeks later. Those of you that don't remember, Brian Gumbel used to be co-host of the Today Show. It was his final show today, 25 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to throw some college football at you. 20 years ago, actually 21 years ago, Big Game Bob got the nickname Big Game Bob when Oklahoma beat Florida State 13-2 in the third ever BCS title game. A year later, the greatest team I've ever seen, the 01 Canes on January 3rd of 02 beat Nebraska 37-14. Then a year ago to the night, the Buckeyes beat them in double overtime. So we had 3 straight national BCS title games on the same day, 3 seasons in a row. Casey Kasem gave up hosting American Top 40 on this date in 2004 after doing it for over 30 years. Nick Saban, 15 years ago today, resigned as head coach of the Dolphins.
It's all worked out really well for the Miami Dolphins since.
It has worked out really well for Alabama, though. And the greatest coaching achievement ever was 14 years ago today. Mark Mangino and Kansas completed a 12-1 season. You heard me correct. Kansas football. They won the Orange Bowl over 5th-ranked Va-Tech. Kansas, Mark Mangino, but he's a meanie, so they got rid of him and nobody's hired him. It's the greatest coaching job in the history of the sport. The late Hank Stram was born on this day 99 years ago.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm guessing you're going single season with
Mangino. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Bill Snyder.
I was just going to say it's not even the best job in Kansas.
No. Bill Snyder over 25 years. Single season? No.
Okay, fair enough. No. Just wanted to make sure that was pointed out. Thought it was relevant.
Kansas.
Yes.
I digress. Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet, is 83 today. Jim Everett is 59. Cheryl Miller's 58. Michael Schumacher is 53. Eli Manning is 41.
It's his birthday today?
Yeah.
He can ask Raj whatever he wants.
Right. He's doing a Manning cast on his birthday. By the way, the Lifetime episode of Surviving R. Kelly 2 years ago tonight was the beginning of the end. And that mark was.
All right. 2 things really quickly. It was today in 1976 that the Bay City Rollers went #1 in America with SATURDAY Night. One of the worst songs ever recorded. Stephen Stills is 77. John Paul Jones is 76.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I searched long and hard for a good, and all I really have is the Powerball is up to $522 million.
Done.
For the bad, we go to South Florida, where Valesky Barozzi got some COVID money, as a lot of people did. He got $4.2 million, faking every document under the sun. Bought a Lamborghini, a Rolex, some other watches, a lot of Gucci and Louis Vuitton clothing, and he was finally arrested. If convicted, he's facing up to 132 years behind bars. And finally, the ugly, we go to Key West, where 2 jerks burned part of the southernmost point buoy after setting a fire near the attraction. I'm sure everything will be fine. It'll be fixed, and hopefully they catch the two idiots who did it. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on January the 3rd, 2022.
NBA tonight. Phillies Heat are in Golden State to face the Warriors. Magic are in Chicago after losing in overtime to the Celtics. There's only one NHL game. There's supposed to be 3. 2 of them canceled. Rangers hosting Connor McDavid and the Oilers in the only game being played. We do have Monday Night Football tonight. We have a Manning cast to go along with it with a great guest list of Bill Cowher and Roger Goodell and Snoop Dogg and Aaron Rodgers. But the Steelers are a 2-point favorite over the Browns, Mark. Ben's last game at Heinz Field. How does it go?
Oh, Steelers are going to win. They're ready to get to that 8-1 season that they have to get to, David. And in order to do that, they've got to win today.
It'll keep Tomlin's streak alive, and Ben gets to ride off into the sunset. Might as well play Mason Rudolph in the finale then. Miller and Moulton. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th.